Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to GrowedUpGeek Gaming, your home for narrative and roleplay-focused Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition live play campaigns. It is Tuesday night. We are here for our brand new mini-series, What Lurks Below. Notice hold on, people aren't in the right spots. Damn, somebody moved their camera. Somebody moved their camera. There it is. Cool. Everybody's where they should be. Sorry about that. I am your host this evening, not your dungeon master, Manny at GrowedUpGeek on your social medias, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube. If you like what we do here, give us a like, follow, subscribe, high five, fist bump, consent given, pat on the butt. We are live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday nights here on Twitch with the videos for those respective shows available Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday on our YouTube channel. Give us a subscribe over there as well to see everything we've ever done here in what is coming up on 2 years. So that's going to be it for the channel business. Just real quick, one big announcement. We have set our streaming schedule for the rest of 2022. What Lurks Below on Tuesdays, Dynasty of Dragons finishing up on Wednesdays, and then our brand new little mini series, Legacy of Blood, on Friday. We are now going to start announcing the things that we're going to be doing in 2023. Our 2023 Wednesday campaign is going to be titled The Water Davian Affair. It's going to be a low-level heist. Stay tuned for more information about that. And then tune in next week for announcement about our Friday show in 2023. Something me and at least two of these people here are very excited about. That's going to be it for us tonight. We'll do character intros, do a little recap, and then jump right in. Tonight, I will be playing Arvyn Anciel, kind of a Ancient's paladin who's kind of having an existential crisis that really loves being good and fighting for good, but when he's not caught in the thick of it, he's worried that just entropy and chaos will win over in the world, and all of his fighting is for nothing. So we'll slide over to somebody with a slightly more optimistic character. Landon, tell us about Sid.
Yeah, so Sid is a dwarven, I keep wanting to say inventor. He's an artificer. He has a steel defender shaped in the form of a Saint Bernard. So he usually has a very positive outlook on life. He wants to help people who are disadvantaged and everything. But more than anything, he just wants to see new things, experience new adventures, and have a good time traveling with his steel defender. And then as a second priority, he, cares about the party as well. He just cares about his invention just a little bit more.
I made this.
Yeah. So he's excited to see what comes today. He'll be glad to get off the boat. He's not like super bad about getting seasick, but inventions usually don't work as well in the water. Electricity, water, it doesn't mix well, rust, all that good stuff. So he'll be happy to get out of the ocean. So
awesome. Sliding over, joining us from Witness Relocation and apparently the surface of Mercury, Tenta playing an unusual kind of mysterious character, so I guess this fits. Go ahead and tell us about Rasma.
All right. Rasma is a lizard folk Twilight cleric rogue that is basically the head of his order and more like a senior religious figure that is longtime friends with the party and has been drug into another adventure that he will partake in, mostly to keep them alive over any kind of riches or anything, which he's, for the most part, in not need of.
I don't need money, but I'd be sad if you all died. Awesome.
Yeah.
I hope those gangsters never find you, man. I hope you can stay out your days in witness protection, all safe and sound. We're rooting for you. And
be safe here.
Yeah, sliding over, our person who probably had the most kind of issue with a long boat voyage, spent most of it worrying about getting wet and or seasick. Our good friend Nick, tell us about Dirk.
Well, so Dirk is a Leonin monk of the Astral Self, and as a cat, doesn't really like water too much. So it's really happy to get off the boat and then onto some dry land. But wait, there's not really a lot of dry land in the Styes because it's sinking. It's being reclaimed by the ocean.
There you
So
go.
yeah, real bummer. But we'll find some dry. I can jump to the tops of houses. They're sinking. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. All right, awesome. That is our amazing cast. This is our usual Tuesday cast. I am so lucky to actually be on this side in this little row with them for the first time in a long time. And the person that I can do that because of is our great friend Sam at Cauldron here on the Discord. Sam, thank you very much as always for being here. And go ahead and take it away. Tell us about yourself and then take it away.
Well, there's not really anything else to say. I avoid social media, so you can just find me as Cauldron on the Discord server, and that's kind of it, really. Although there may be a project coming up soon, a podcast that I may be involved with a few friends over here in the UK, so depending on when that gets sorted, I might plug that at some point.
Awesome.
But yes, for now, just Sam or Cauldron or Hey You or Arsehole, as I expect to be called as we go into this adventure, and I start to... make use of the darkness that lurks within the very depths of my mind as we dive into this Lovecraftian adventure of what lurks below. So, as a brief recap from last week, all of you individually, either directly or indirectly, in the case of one who was in the Feywild, received an invitation by a tabaxi by the name of the Captain. Real name unknown, that's all you ever really known him by, alongside a whole laundry list of just other pseudonyms over the years. He called you all to meet with a friend of his and yours, who a rather rich and noble merchant, Aesmir, as you found out in your meeting when he decided to flex a bit of power, by the name of Lycian, who was concerned his wife's, Beatrix's his brother-in-law, had been condemned for murder in a location known as the Styes. Before much could be done to argue a legal case for him, he was hung by the neck until dead. Quick and brutal justice, essentially. However, the Styes being the Styes, and Lycian being loyal to family, he's asked all of you to investigate on his behalf. You all being rather renowned sellswords, mercenaries, adventurers, whatever title you might have given yourself over the years. Yet for all of that experience, you're not exactly as known as he is. Particularly, you're not exactly as known as he would be in the Styes, where he's done business trades in the past. As such, he had hired all of you to go aboard the ship captained by the captain, where he would transport you to the Styes. You would disembark and meet his sister-in-law, Eleanor Lovage, or Lovage, however you pronounce her surname, the sister to the condemned Jarm, in the tavern known as the Drunken Steed. With little further orders, due to the fact that no other orders could really be given, the information being so new, recent, and untrustworthy, shall we say. You were sent off and board the ship, and the ship ferried you there for the next couple of days. It was as you were approaching the Styes, going over the sea itself, a rather strange storm began to form. Something which carried upon it a sound that was almost song-like. A song of the abyss and of abyssal, which manifested actual physical effects onto the world as lightning struck down upon the ship and you were assaulted by two water elementals that had been tainted by abyssal touch. One crewmate almost died in the efforts, but between the four of you, you were able to save them and ensure no others died, and the ship was safely escorted out, the captain almost battling into a duel of song to ward off this effect of the storm and give as much protection as he could to the vessel and to yourselves, as arcane arrays served to carry you rapidly to your destination. Things had calmed down for the last little leg of the journey when you were called up onto deck with a faint sea mist on the air, occluding your vision somewhat, the captain informed you that you would be arriving at the Styes very soon, as he pointed out to you all the sad and desolate silhouette of the place known as the Styes. Before we begin, I do want to just quickly say, give a quick attribution, before I forget, to those behind the music that I'm using for this game. If the music comes through in the stream, hopefully it does, fingers crossed, etc. The music for this game is pulled from both Alex Rowe and Kevin MacLeod. Kevin MacLeod can be found at incomtech.com, and with attribution, you're free to use his music. And I'm sure you've heard his music everywhere. He has thousands of songs that are open to use so long as attribution is given. Alex Rowe is a British composer who does remixes and his own original compositions based mainly on the Soulsborne game, though he's done his own original songs and original soundtracks as well. And he can be found at alexrowe.bandcamp.com or Alex Rowe on YouTube and Spotify, or at Rotaka on Twitter. And hopefully, if music is indeed working, you'll currently actually be hearing one of his tracks in the background to give a bit of atmosphere now to this ruined and desolate city where misery seems rife and abundant as the ship slowly begins to drift into port. You can hear the captain still stood behind the wheel, giving orders and commands, the ship hands running about, trimming the sails, getting ready to lower the anchor, or other nautical terms which I don't know enough about to really go in depth with, as slowly the ship comes into the port. Your first impression of the port is that of a very miserable place. You can see where the docks, the wood of the docks has long since been rotted away in many places, left to ruin and without refurbishment. The sea is visible beneath many, many gaps. Two large, imposing, almost brutal-looking stone buildings are really the only things on this harbour which have any semblance of structure still left to them. Everything else has a sense of almost abandonment, or just a sense of not caring, of apathy about it. There is nothing about this harbour, about this docks, that looks inviting to you all in any way whatsoever. Indeed, the workers that you can see hurrying back and forth while still going about their jobs seem to carry a hunch to their shoulders, as if weighed down by a miasma of heavy emotion and negativity. Slowly, from shouts on ship and on the port, ropes are hauled off, the ship is tied down, and you are all beckoned to disembark from the ship and land and step foot onto the Styes for the first time in all of your lives. As you walk down, the captain walks down with you, still shouting out commands, and you can see some supplies are being unloaded, some supplies are being loaded back on. As he's doing so, however, an individual slowly, meanderingly, and completely lazily by the whole posture and demeanour slowly approaches. Large in stature, standing taller than all of you, you see the green-skinned visage of a female half-orc slowly lumbering her way through the people of the docks. Everyone scatters before her, but even then, she's not exactly rushing in any way. Her shoulders are hunched, legs just dragging, feet scuffing against the wooden docks in an audible sound, as she seems just disinterested in everything going on around her, along with yourselves. But nevertheless, she approaches two individuals, much more nondescript in appearance, following behind her. Pardon me. The captain raises a hand and hurries over towards her, and goes into a hushed conversation for a few minutes. Do either of you choose to try and listen, to follow, or do you just peel off to do your own thing? Or something else entirely?
I'm not gonna try to get in the captain's business. This is this like an equivalent of like Venice, where all of this like city was probably a lot grander at one point, and just by natural causes it's sinking, or is it has it always been like this?
I'll say, as you were coming into the Styes, before taking a southerly direction to come down towards where the harbour is, so where that gap is that opens up into the middle of the Styes, there you could see the homes there are built atop of other homes that have sunk into the ocean. You can see the lighthouse broken and left in disrepair stands with the water line now halfway up it. You definitely do get the idea that this whole thing is just slowly sinking into the ocean.
Okay.
The foundation's not secure in any way, and indeed there's a stench of dead fish, dead shellfish refuse, and just this almost like a slimy muck.
Venice, I got it.
Just permeates the air.
Okay.
Yeah, bit Venice basically.
I was like, Venice smells like a sewer, and everybody thinks it's pretty. Heard. Okay.
Only without the prettiness.
Oh, without the pretty. Okay. So it looks.
This face could not be considered pretty.
It looks like Venice smells. Got it. Okay.
Pretty much.
So I'm just gonna kind of stroll off the boat, little bummed, and just kind of look around, and especially to Dirk. Is this what we fight for? No matter how hard we work to save things, in the end, just reclaimed by the sea. And I'm just going to kind of go off and brood.
A truly loathsome place. And I'll jump off the ship to like the driest spot that I can find.
Driest is debatable. Everything here is like this thick mist on the air. You can find dry-ish, but nothing here is dry. There's a very much, at least at the moment, you don't know how it might be later on, but currently there's a very thick sea mist hanging and clinging to everything.
Gross.
Sid is going to get out some WD-40. He's going to be using plenty of it on Beowulf throughout this adventure.
Makes sense.
Rasma will jump off the boat after Dirk. I tell you, it might smell terrible here, but having spent most of my life as a sailor and grown up in the swamp, there's something home about it.
As you all disembark, you see the captain seem to finish his conversation, and coins quickly change hands before he turns and waves to you all to approach.
Like hop over
Out
there.
over there.
Yeah.
Okay. As you approach, you see clearer now the half-orc that he was conversing with. Strong, or what must have once been a very strong half-orc. There's now just kind of this, like muscles wasting away appearance, essentially, just of not being upkept, of constant sloth, essentially. And this half-orc stands nevertheless above you all, even with the hunch to her shoulders. Thick red hair is just greasy and matted and not really cared for. You can see a couple of scars on one cheek, and it seems there's been the faintest semblance of appearance from silver bands woven into braids, but even the silver bands like battered and worn and not well cared for at all. It's almost not slovenly, but very much apathetic. Yeah, very apathetic and sloth-like appearance, this half-orc, as cat-like eyes, yellow and slitted, glance to each and every one of you. Behind her, as her gaze appraises you, it's accompanied by heavy coughing, a wet-sounding cough that is no way healthy from the two companions behind her, their faces covered by masks and by hoods to the point you can only see the eyes, and in the skin around the eyes is a very mottled pale, which is splashed with red in places, essentially. Not spots, but vashes almost. She looks over you all, one by one, as I say, before returning her gaze to the captain. Is this what you bring to this fair city, oh my friend? These are who you want me to direct? These outsiders? There's a definite curl to her lips as she says the word outsiders, tusks more visible in doing so. Come now, Tak. I've done favors for you in the past. Surely you can waive the fact that they are born of other blood than what flows through the Styes, eh? At least, I'll make it worth your while. All you have to do is just point them in the right direction for me. You watch as the captain's hands disappears into a pouch on his hip, and you definitely see the gleam of a couple of coins which are slapped down onto a ledger that she's carrying. She glances down and then back up before snapping the ledger shut and putting it into like a coat pocket, essentially. Very well. For favor done, I will look after these outsiders, my brother. Now fuck off. She turns sharply and gestures for the four of you to follow and heads back towards those imposing, brutal-looking stone buildings set off of the dock. Her two companions look at you all in very much of a gesture of follow, and then we're following you, and wait for you to make a move. The captain himself turns you all and sadly, I can do no more for you at this point forward. You are sadly now to the mercy of the Styes. The best of luck to you all, and keep your heads down. That's the best advice I can give you here. Gives each of you a quick bow and turns to hurry off, essentially.
Can I make a medical check to see if I can tell what's wrong with those dudes? Why they're
Sure. Make me medicine.
All right.
I was going to ask about that too.
You can roll as well.
17.
17. Whatever it is, it's nothing you've encountered before or seen before, but it is definitely something medical. By your best guess, as I say, it's a rash of some sort or the physical symptoms of some affliction which they're suffering from. What it is, you've no idea.
Aloe vera.
I'm gonna make a point to kind of hang. I'm immune from disease, but it doesn't mean I like them. So I'm gonna kind of stay away from the walking whatever carriers they are.
Yep.
Do like is the thing going on up here the only thing I could tell that would say that they're sick? Is there like a weird gait?
There is that kind of wet cough to them every now and then. It's not constant, it's just every now and then there's a wet sounding cough from them, but other than that there's no other signs. Like
a normal gait when they walk?
It's a normal gait, yeah.
Okay.
Rasma, actually, with your passive perception and with that medicine check as well, I will say you do note there are more than a few individuals around this port, the dock workers, that seem to have a similar affliction. They aren't hiding it as much, so you can see some faces where there's like all one side of the face is splotchy with red, or down onto hands as well. Some fingers are definitely blue from lack of proper circulation in even other people. This definitely seems a place where there are not many who are actually healthy. Not to the point of being debilitating illnesses. And from behavior going on, you don't get the idea that it's probably contagious, whatever it is they have. People are interacting openly and easily even with those that don't have these same afflictions. But it's definitely like this is not a healthy populace, at least those working on the docks.
He definitely raises his mouth scarf up a little bit higher. Anyway, that's kind of a gesture to everyone else. Like, everyone around here is sick. Keep your guard up.
Other than that, do you follow?
Do I follow him?
Yeah, I'll follow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sail towards the back. Yeah.
We'll go.
Yeah. What was her name?
You only overheard Tak. T-A-K. You don't know if that's a surname, given name, or whatever. That's only all that you overheard. So yeah, as you go to follow the two companions that she had kind of fallen to step behind you, not crowding you or anything like that, but definitely keeping an eye on you. And all of you can see as soon as you start going into the more crowded area of these docks, as soon as it's obvious that you're not just temporarily disembarking from the ship, you get more than a few side-eyed glares from just the regular workers. And in no way are they trying to hide it. You're slowly led towards one of these two buildings and taken in through a water-rotted wooden door into what seems to be a very ramshackled office, within which Tack has already taken a seat, booted feet upon a desk as she's leaning back, a smoking pipe dangling from her lips, already billowing from whatever it is that she's smoking. You're all hit with the scent of incense as well, from two incense burners on either side of the door as you come in. Well, take a seat. She gestures to very run-down looking chairs, one that looks like it's about to fall apart at the slightest hint of weights that are set upon it, that are set on your side of the desk. Only two chairs.
I will take the most rickety-looking one, as I'm probably way less than everyone else.
I'm gonna stand.
It'll take a pretty sturdy chair.
As both of you sit, yeah.
I'm the only one sitting.
So I think it's, yeah, whoever sits, by the way. The chairs groan agonizingly beneath your weights, but somehow managed to actually hold. These yellow eyes of the half-orc go from one to the other once more. Right, who speaks for you all? I don't have all day. Who speaks for you all?
I'll speak for everybody.
Hey, you fancy fucking toes, whatever your fucking name is. What the fuck are you doing here?
We've been set forth to investigate a matter of justice for a local lord of ours.
Of course. Fucking outsiders meddling in our business, eh? Right, where are you wanting to go? I owe the captain a favour. I'll tell you where you want to go. After that, you're not my business. I see you around here, snooping or stealing, I'll fucking break your necks.
Well, I don't know if there's a magistrate or a chief of the guard that we were going to see. Our query was potentially hung till dead while innocent, and we are not in the business of defending nations that execute innocent people.
Your outside is so fucking adorable. There's no fucking innocence here. Right. She leans into her desk and pulls out what looks like a water-stained map, what might be either blood stain or wine stains as well, and circles a building which on your map is number 5.
Okay, big one.
It says City Hall. If you're looking for documents, that's where you'll find them. Now, Captain said you're looking for someone in particular, though. I'm not going to have that fucking cat coming back here saying I reneged on our fucking deal.
Right.
If you remember, you were told to seek out Eleanor at the Drunken Steed.
Okay.
Just as a reminder.
We're looking for somebody at the Drunken Steed, and easy with the feline references. I'm going to point to Dirk. He doesn't like it too much.
Why? Kit, you want a bowl of sauce? Sauce or milk, then?
I want to slide over and give Dirk
I
a
would
little
like some
room.
cream. I would like some cream.
I'm gonna just laugh because I know that Dirk would actually like cream.
You give me a bowl of
As
fresh
much as
cream.
it's a joke,
I
he
would
would like
actually.
it. Yeah.
She'll nevertheless circle on the map a building which isn't marked on the actual Styes map, but is in the lower quarter, so the northwestern area of the map.
Okay.
Is it in the water, or is it not? This is what they call it. It's not physically lower than.
It's just called the lower quarter.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's a
And
classist
indeed,
thing.
the areas, I will say, on your approach to the Styes, the areas where it looks like places are sea locked, where there's no connection, there are rickety looking rope bridges, or what seems to be scaffolding made out of ship masts and crow's nests that have been rammed into the sea, essentially. So where it looks like land is blocked off, it's not, but it's not exactly the most stable of ways to get about. Let's put it that way. It's all ramshackle. But nevertheless, it's basically on the map on Foundry where you see lower quarter is actually written. It's literally below there, the landmass below there.
So there's an actual like slums of this place. This place is not just all the slums. And I see over here there's a high quarter. So is this place a little bit nicer than? Is
this being asked in character? Just to check.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. There's a very coarse laugh, almost like a smoker's laugh, if that makes sense. As in, you've said something that really just amuses. I should say chain smokers laugh, I suppose. As in, you said something that you've really, really amused Tak. This whole place is a shithole, pussy.
Okay.
But I suppose you can call the higher quarter as a bit better, you know? It's like, do you want 2 shits and a hand or 1 shit? I'll take the 1 shit.
But just to clarify,
yep.
Is it a little bit drier up there?
I imagine so. I don't fucking know. What business do I have with those hoity-toity fuckers? They go about ruling our little city, driving into the ocean. Fuck them. Now, is that all? Or are you going to be a persistent turd on my boot?
Well, unless you have any cream, or...
Get the fuck out. She's definitely... That's what it is. Very hostile, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yep. This whole time, by the way, you've been glared at by the 2 that accompany her into the room, and you could see back behind the office through a window about 4 other individuals, all kind of dock workers, mainly dwarven and human, it seems, male and female, like just kind of glaring at you. This whole conversation you've had, just like angry eyes staring at you.
Rude.
Right. As soon as I'm told to get the fuck out, I'm gonna do just that.
Yep.
And I'm gonna, like, if there's anything like on a shelf or just kind of like arranged like they would, I'm just gonna like just kind of dickishly like knock it all on the floor, like casually on my way out the door.
Okay.
If, like, there's like binders or scrolls or, you know, some paperwork or something, I'm just gonna like knock it on the floor and just keep moving.
Yeah, this whole place is just a mess, so there's more than enough that you could knock off. Just sleight of hand, unless you're being deliberate in what you're doing.
Oh no, I'm being deliberate. I'm being deliberate about it.
You definitely hear a very hoarse laugh from this half-orc, but nothing else.
I'm not even gonna turn back. I'm just gonna knock all of her shit on the floor, and then I'm just gonna keep going until I'm outside.
Makes sense. Right.
I'll pick some of it up as he exits the room.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll pick whatever he knocked down up, and then I'll give him like a holy symbol bow, and then walk out.
It was probably, what was knocked off was probably a couple of tomes that seemed like shipping manifests. You know, like this ship entered port, this date, left at this time, etc., etc. Carried this cargo, left with this cargo. It's just regular, boring shipping manifests from the looks of it.
Nothing keep worthy.
If you make me just an intelligence check.
Alright. Oh, wow. I got a 19 on the die.
Okay.
So.
If I remember correctly, was it the Lunis Order?
Yes.
The Lunis Order deals with occasionally assassination. So you deal with the darker sides of things at times. With that, I will say, and you having the sailor background, you can see evidence of smuggling. it's in the way certain things are reported. You can clearly see there's like a very lively smuggling business going on in this port.
Interesting. I'll try and pocket some of the manifests without
Make me a sleight of
being
hand.
seen.
Yep, sleight of hand.
All right. So 16.
Okay, yeah. 16?
Yep.
All right, you do pocket.
Let me pick these up for you. See you later.
Yeah.
Whether or not you were successful in hiding it, you don't know, but you made the attempt at hiding it, so you'll find out.
So far, so good.
Cool. Fucking around right now, finding out later. Got it.
Later is later.
I assume you all disembark and or leave rather. As soon as you all step out, you're immediately met with at least one glare from each individual here before they turn to go back to their work. There's definitely a very unwelcoming air to this place.
Yeah, not very cool, huh?
But I assume, well, where's your target location?
Yeah, the sturdy steed.
No, the police station for the city hall's closest. So if we're just gonna go, we'll just make like the loop, unless you guys want to cut across the water.
I will say also, you did see small boats going back and forth from both sides, essentially. So there's boat bridges, but there's also those that might ferry you for a coin. I will say that.
You want to take the ferry to the bar first, and then we'll hit the government.
No, let's go to the records office first.
All right.
Okay.
I don't want to be on another smaller, even more unstable boat.
All right. All right.
Okay.
So as they kind of give us like the aggressive side eye, I'm not going to too subtly mention. This definitely seems like the kind of place that would wrongfully execute a man, and then just kind of go about my business again, like just being a dick, just out loud.
Yep. As you leave what is obviously the harbour and go into what's actually the city proper, you encounter just scenes of poverty, I suppose, and despair. You can see individuals huddled inside alleys in dirtied rags, muddied and bloodied in some ways. You can see even young children running back and forth, definitely urchins. Many a building here in the Merchants' Quarter is boarded over, empty, or would be boarded over if said boards hadn't been torn down, and you can see more than a few baleful eyes glaring out at you from these shadowed buildings as you pass what seems to be more than a few number of hideaways and hideouts. As you get further in, it does get worse. At the outskirts, closer to the harbour, you see, you do see some mercantile efforts, some industry being present, because this being the most closest location to trade. You see like hawkers outside, for example, shouting. You see butchers and those that deal with foodstuffs. You see clothing, you see general stores, all sorts essentially. As you get closer to the heart of the quarter, however, that's when it gets more and more run down, and that's when the glares get more and more prominent and untrusting, essentially.
As we make our way through all these, like, it's like people like literally just sitting on the streets in like poverty, yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay. Any like little like kind of group that looks like a parent with a child or children, I'm gonna give them, like, if it's like a an adult and a child, I'm gonna give them 1 gold piece. Yep. And if it's like 2 kids, I'm gonna basically give, like, in these groups, 1 gold piece per like kid, just to kind of walk through. Not gonna say anything nice about it, just gonna walk up to them and give them a little bit of money.
You see more than one of these groups. You see many of these groups, actually. The first you do approach to do this, however, it's of an elderly looking woman. How old she actually is, or whether it's just kind of the wear of this life, aging her prematurely, you don't know. But there's a couple of kids kind of cling to her dirty skirts, and what seems to be the father of this family unit pushes himself to his feet despite a cast on his leg, and kind of hobbles towards you. And as you go to hand the gold piece, he clasps your hand before anyone else can see it, and pulls you close, or goes to pull you close.
I'm not gonna like fully embrace, but I'm not gonna fight it either. Yeah. And like, see, they're human, or at least a
they're
short.
Human.
Okay.
The woman probably looks half elf, maybe, but the man is probably human. He draws you close enough that you can whisper at least, and says, "Do you wish me dead?"
No, I wish your family fed. If
you give me gold, give me gold, and I will be dead before the day's over. You put a bounty on my head with that. There are laws and rules to the streets, but you give me gold, and those rules will be gone in a second.
Anybody who
Fuck your charity, outsider. Fuck your pity. We don't need it. And he just pushes you away without taking the gold.
Okay. Cool. I'm gonna go get myself a drink.
Villain origin story.
I know. Like, seriously. It's gonna be a vengeance paladin by the end of this show. Is this kind of sentiment like if I tried again, is this what I'm gonna get, or
make me an insight check?
Okay. I was like, oh my god, roll a dice. Do the old insight. Oh no, straight up roll. Oh yes, 18.
I'll say with that, you get the idea. His reaction is less anger and more fear. That what he's saying is true. If you give him a gold piece, him and his family will be dead before the day's end, because those without scruples will take it. What he said about kind of laws, you get the idea. Small denominations of coin handed out is left as is. Too greater handouts, shall we say?
Got it.
And those that will have no qualms killing a whole family to take that gold piece will take it before the day's out. It's, as he said, to give a gold piece here is to give a death sentence.
I only carry big bills, man. I'm sorry.
If you remember, I did say you were given some silver and copper, bonds, whatever, before you left. The captain, Lycian gave you a small bag each of like 5 gold total in silver and copper, just in case of things like this, essentially.
All right, as he like scolds me for giving him too much money, I'm gonna look him dead in the eye. I'm gonna take my gold coin back. I'm gonna rummage around while making eye contact, and then I'm gonna give him 3 silver. If you threaten me after giving you charity again, I will make sure your family leaves this place while you left floating in whatever this disgusting water is called.
Okay, 3 silver. You notice quickly, two of that silver is... Actually, the rest of you, with your passive insight, don't notice it even. To your eyes, Arvyn gave just 1 silver, as 2 of it is kind of scribbled away immediately before anyone else can see it. And as he draws back, it seems like you've only given him 1 silver, essentially. And he just kind of glances at it, up at you, and... Thank you. Thank you. And turns and hobbles back. And as I said, a lot of his immediate reaction was, and it's more obvious with that, was just pure fear. That in your charity you might have killed him and his children.
Then as we walk, I'm going to do the same thing until I've given out all of like the coins that Lycian gave us.
It goes, if you give it like in 2 and 3 silver a piece, it goes quickly.
Okay.
Very quickly.
Yeah,
there's more than a few.
But, like you said, people with kids and like that kind of situation.
I will say then, at one point, just as you're getting like what seems to be halfway through, and the squalor is beginning to lessen a little bit, and it seems there's a bit more of a trade aspect to this section of the city. As you are doing so, 9 urchins run up towards you, young children, a mix of dwarf, elf, human, or half elf, you're not too sure, human. These seem to be the kind of the predominant, species that live here. They all hurry up to you and swarm you.
Street youths.
I know. I was like, bro, this is how I get mugged.
I'm gonna. As soon as they run up on us, I'm gonna jump, like, as far as I possibly can to a rooftop.
Yeah, you do so, and you hear a few "wow" sound out as some of these kids still have a bit of innocence left and just take delight in seeing a cat leap, literally stories to a rooftop.
Does the house collapse with like a 180-pound cat landing on the top
Point.
of it?
It creaks but does not collapse, and you hear a few void words underneath the roof as someone seems to leave the room and go to another room, but it does not collapse.
I will help corral the children away from the paladin, away from Arvyn. Okay, children, let's calm down.
But sir, one of them seems to set forward a young boy. Well, we won't. We'll keep to ourselves. But you are just a copper, sir. We can show you around. Eh?
Rasma, you don't need that
Just
money.
copper piece.
Just give it to the kids.
Copper piece, sir. Please, sir.
All right. So I'll reach into my like the vest pocket and grab a copper out and make it the light spell, ding, and give it to the kid.
Oh, and you're gonna get that kid killed.
The 8 other children kind of just swarm around him, just oohing and ahhing over this rudimentary trick of magic, essentially. And then 8 eyes, just puppy dog expression, look up at you. And kind of surge forward and are kind of clumsily plucking at your whatever, if any sleeve you have, or your pouches or your armor, not to take, but seemingly just to get attention. And you've got now like a horde of 8 young children just pouring at you for copper themselves.
I'll look over towards Arvyn. You best make haste.
I'm gonna look at Sid. Is Beowulf out and walking with us?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna say to Sid, we might need Beowulf's help to kind of herd these children away. If like we can move, right? They're not like obstructing. This isn't, like one of those things you see in the movie.
You could move, and you could move easily. It's
Okay.
like they're pouring at each one. After a coin doesn't really come from Rasma, they do huddle around now the other 2 of you, the cat beat up on the roof. And they're not clutching at you or anything like that. They're more kind of pouring at like shirt sleeves or anything like that, or trousers or whatever, just to kind of just get attention, if that makes sense. If you tried to move, they would back away.
I'm gonna reach into my pocket, find everything that's not like a gold coin. It says here I have 7 copper and 8 silver.
Yeah. I will say, by the way, if you have a gold piece in your inventory, if you want to break it down into the lower denominations, then you can.
I'm good with just the loose change. I'm gonna basically kind of get everybody's eye contact on the count of 3, 1, 2, and I'm just gonna throw like a handful of coins like behind us, and when I do so, like step up the pace a little bit.
Yep. As you do so, these 8 children seem to just dive forward, as do 7 other individuals who are kind of around this area, just scrambling in the road for whatever coin they can. One of them does seem to brush past you, Landon, pretty harshly, stumbling slightly, almost running into Beowulf, then almost collapsing into Beowulf before they kind of catch themselves and just so eager to get there as quickly as they can, essentially. They're not paying attention to what's in front of them, if that makes sense. They're just trying to get to this coinage on the ground before it's gone. And it's like in 10 seconds as you hurry the pace forward. As you look back 10 seconds later, just the road is clear again.
Yeah, Sid, when as they're kind of moving, Sid will kind of like reach out and grab Beowulf just to like keep him close,
Yep.
because he definitely doesn't want Beowulf to get like knocked down to the ground, trampled or anything,
Just
and
wet.
kind of like lead him to the back, like away from everybody.
I would say as you picked up the pace carrying forward, you soon get back into what seems to be more a mercantile area of this, the merchant's quarter. You can hear street hagglers again kind of sounding out, vertically looking carts set off to one side, and the amount of kind of urchins or beggars on the streets definitely lessens and retreats less onto the street itself and more into the side alleys as you kind of just carry on further in. Going along, you soon get to what seems to be a makeshift bridge, or that seems to be built on top of what was once the main road before it sank into the waters. It's stacked together and piled high with just wooden frames, what seems to be even pieces and walls from buildings, even from ships, all sorts, and kind of built up and then packed down with dirt to kind of maintain this road. But as soon as you step onto this kind of land bridge, artificial land bridge, it's water either side of you, thick and murky and filthy, grimy water that stinks of not stagnation, but of disease and death.
Gross.
It's not clean in any means whatsoever. This kind of like a slime, you can even see like a slimy film atop of it. As you enter, though, into what is probably what you guess is the high quarter, the buildings do seem a bit better. They're still in a state of decay, that's for sure, but less so. They're less falling down and more beginning to fall down, I suppose. But you can still see a lot of these buildings are just abandoned and empty, boarded up with some of them just the boards torn out. And again, you can see the silhouettes of individuals inside kind of peeking out at you all. It's only take about 2 minutes to kind of head further in when you begin to see militia patrol groups. They're dressed in ragtag armor and rusted looking weapons, but nevertheless it seems to be armed to some regard and seems to be keeping some form of order. I need to be right back 1 second. I'm just hearing something out the door, which is weird because it's 1 a.m.
Yeah, that would be concerning. All right. Jump up on the table, start screaming, "Fuck the police," and we just jump these guards. I'm straight from the underground. Who the hell is Ice Cube, and why is he fucking yelling about it?
Who is this iced cube?
That Rick and Morty episode with Ice-T and Ice Cube, that shit's great. Alright, this place sucks. Like, for real.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to live here.
Yeah, I'm not.
Time to burn it to the ground.
Not having a great time.
Straight up not having a good time.
Yeah, especially Dirk having to endure this must be extra awful. Which is funny.
Fantasy Venice sucks.
Yeah, Fantasy Venice.
Yeah, Fantasy Venice sucks. 0 out of 5 stars. Would not recommend.
Yeah, no.
Even the
Bad Yelp reviews.
Even the poor people are rude.
I know. That's when it's really bad.
Alright, how are we gonna play these cops?
Tell you what, this time when we get into battle, I'm not going to underestimate what Sam tries to do to us.
Everybody stay close. I'm gonna slash
Last
it
time
up,
I
and then
did.
everybody gets somebody gets to use their reaction, which is like dope.
Yeah, I feel like last time I got slapped around just a little bit.
Well,
Because I was like, I don't need to use that spell. Wham.
yeah, I was saying
guess I do.
but I was like the elemental also jumped up on you though.
Yeah, that was scary. I'm a sneaky guy, dang it.
Yeah, I don't like getting jumped on by large things.
Oh, that ain't my thing.
All right. So I don't have any
How
really
much,
social skills except intimidation. So
Well, hey, that's something.
I mean,
How much do we heal per long rest?
I think it's all of your HP, but you get half of your hit die back, correct? I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
I believe so.
Yeah, so if you have 100 HP, you'll have the 100 HP after a long rest. But then, if you use 7 out of your 8 hit die, you'll only get 4 of them back. So you'll have 5 hit die for this new day. I'm pretty confident that's how it works.
yeah, that's plenty. We got enough heals. We got a cleric and a paladin. We'll be good. Oh.
In fact, yeah, I just confirmed it. It's all your
Be right
HP, 7 hit die you get back, and any cool stuff you have.
Do. My 4 spell slots.
4.
I mean, look, man, I'm a paladin. I don't have very many.
No, I mean I'm a half caster as well.
No cantrips. Like no cantrips is a jit, bro. Level 14, I got 1/4 level spell. Thanks, man.
Right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Housemate.
It wasn't a haunted house, was it?
No,
No
so
ghosts.
my housemate's flight got in very late and then traffic, so he's back here quite late.
Oh.
He was meant to be back a couple of hours ago.
Ugh.
So doesn't want to let him in. Right, where was I up to? Oh, militia. Militia. If you're good for me to continue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can see what seems to be militia or guards, essentially, not heavily uniformed or it's not good armor, essentially, but nevertheless they seem to have that role, and you can see them patrolling the streets. And indeed, whereas there are basically like no beggars or those lurking in back alleys here, it seems more orderly. As Tax said, it's more controlled because this is where the quote-unquote rich of this place lurk. As you slowly make your way to the city hall, you do see a very small building down one street where you can see a couple of patrols going in and out of. But the map nevertheless directs you towards the large building that you can see looming above all the others. This one seems to be having refurbishment done to it. You see like Joe's scaffolding around it. Seems the repair efforts are being undertaken. As you head to this very rundown looking, shabby looking building, but probably the biggest building you've actually seen in the Styes so far. Give your token to it. 2 guards are stood outside of the open double doors that lead in. They don't react though as you approach. They just kind of let you through, and you enter what seems to be into a large foyer/entrance hall. You can see clerks behind desks lining the room, and you can see doors that lead out to corridors that lead further into the large building. Above you there is a balcony and a second level, but you see no way to get up there from where you are, at least. Everyone around you seems to be kind of focused as they can on the work before them and are paying you very little attention as you're stood there.
Are they like deliberately not paying attention to us, or is it just that they're like busy doing things?
It seems just busy doing things. It's a mix of both, really. You see a few that look at you, and then someone else will deal with it, and then go back to work. A few of them just don't even look up once. They're just so focused on it. You can see from the inside, by the way, this is very... you imagine that this was once a very elegant-looking building. You know, like fine, polished wooden ornamentation and statues and carvings even. But now it's just in a state of disarray. And thick dust and cobwebs everywhere.
Walk up to somebody, even if they look busy. Who's in charge here?
They look up at you, and you see a. Give me a second. Trying to find it. God. Okay, yeah, you see a gnome. Elderly-looking gnome, wiry, shock of white hair, essentially looks up at you and scoffs in response. Well, now that is the question, isn't it? Fuck alls, fuck knows, eh? What the fuck do you want?
I'd like to...
You got a meeting?
I don't have an appointment, but I'm gonna like flex, you know, all my paladin kind of ness, you know, big shield, symbol on it. They kind of flex on it.
Look you over, and then just dismiss you, essentially. And you got anything important to ask me? You got work to do. I mean, no one else is gonna fucking do it. Fuck knows the councils aren't gonna fucking do it.
Your petty inter-office squabbles are not my concern. And as I do this, I'm gonna like intentionally kind of push my cape back. So it's not like over my sword anymore. I'm going to tuck it behind so you see it and do the little Doc Holliday, little tap in my finger on the end
he leans forward, very spindly looking fingers essentially, arches them before him. You threatening me, Sonny?
I'm just
here,
you seem like the kind that would admire
heart
this.
Of the city. The heart of this city. The whole of the administration, and you're fucking threatening me. The garrison ain't but a minute away, you know. I don't care how fucking shiny your sword is, or your armor, or what fucking god you pray to. You're threatening me. Yes or no?
I'm going to look at everybody and just really kind of almost become exasperated. Allow me to not threaten you, but give you a moment of brutal honesty. Your life will flash before my eyes in the amount of time it takes me to sneeze. As such, with the limited time you've been given, might be recommended to do what's right and to help those who wish to do right. And all I need is to point me in the direction. We are interested in somebody that was hanged here very recently. And we've been hired to look into it.
Make me I'll say persuasion.
Ooh. Not too bad. What we get? Ooh. Big 7. Not very convincing.
Right. Fuck it then. Three of you got anything important to say here? You're going to fuck off and let me do my work.
Just point us in the right direction and we will leave.
I can point you to the city garrison and the jail cells there.
That would be excellent.
I mean, for you to be a guest.
That's a threat, homie.
I don't see it. I'm all, yeah.
3 silver pieces.
Say again, sorry?
I'll give him 3 silver pieces. Maybe
the
this
clatter.
Loosen your tongue and ease your spirit. You seem very tense.
You clatter onto the desk, and like in a second, they're just gone. And it's almost like he didn't move at all. It was just that quick in action. Right, executions, you want. Lisbeth, he turns and shouts over his shoulder, and you see what seems to be a hurried-looking, I'll say, dwarf, young, female-looking dwarf, very scraggly beard, but finely adorned as much as possible. It's like trying to put on a good airs about her, but it's drab clothing, essentially. Hurries forward. Be a dear, Elizabeth, and take these 4 gentlemen to the archives. She silently turns and just gestures for you to follow.
I'll head on.
Right, now, if you're bothering me again, I'll fucking see you in the jails. Good luck. And he goes back to work.
Out loud, I'll say to my party, I quite like that person. They are blunt. And I'll look over at the cat and, blunt. You get it?
The whole time we're walking away, I'm gonna just looking over my shoulder at him before finally falling in line and keeping an eye on what's in front of me.
As soon as you left, he immediately went back to work. Everyone just make me a intelligence check.
Oh no!
Ooh, damn.
Ooh,
I
not
got
bad.
I rolled a 1, so I don't know shit.
I rolled pretty low, but and I got an 11.
Okay.
Oh, 4.
11. 4.
15. What up?
Okay. Perhaps it was.
Artist?
Perhaps
Wow,
because
big
it was
hitter.
you were posturing above him, but you did notice some of his paperwork. I don't know how familiar Arvyn would be with administration work, but it definitely seems like the things he's dealing with are seems to be those that really should be handled by whoever might be actually in charge. And you remember what he said about the councillors aren't going to do their work, and get the idea that there's no actual form of authority anymore, that they've fucked off and are doing their own thing. Hence why he might be a bit brusque, essentially. Be saddled with his superior's work.
It's lawless.
Lack of
Whenever I see
administration and
PBG.
paperwork. All right. I mean,
But
I
immediately back to work.
still think he's kind of a dick, but I'm a little sympathetic. They're understaffed. I get it.
As you're led through the halls by Elizabeth, you notice there are many rooms that seem to have been closed, locked, and then just not opened again. There's like thick layers of dust on the handles, essentially. Compared to how busy the main area was, there's very few actually in the back of this building. I just slowly led to what is essentially a dingy records room, just parchment and paper stacked into loose piles and drawers and cupboards, where Elizabeth silently kind of gestures you forward.
I mean, I'll follow her. I did.
Yeah, Sid moved forward too.
She kind of looks at you all blankly and tilts her head to one side in a very inquisitive gesture.
Questions?
She opens her mouth after like a point of, oh right, yeah, and you see her tongue has been cut
Oh.
and removed.
Oh.
Rude.
And as she's doing so, the kind of gesture pulls back sleeves, and you can see like manacles, essentially, just without the chains, that seem slightly runic in nature on her wrists.
Could you point us to the recent murder cases, Elizabeth, please?
She turns and hurries over to what seems to be at least not as yellowed paper, and brings it back over, and just it's a whole bundle, just puts it in front of you on a very rickety table.
Start going through them. What? I guess we're just looking for either. Do we know the alleged victim's name?
You know nothing of the victim, as in who was hung, or do you mean who was killed?
Who was allegedly killed by.
You have no idea about who was killed.
Okay.
If everyone makes me an investigation check, as
Okay.
Elizabeth kind of just backs off to one side and seems to be stood there just patiently waiting.
12?
15.
Over.
5.
Okay.
12.
Okay. In that case, with a 15. Yeah, Sidrius, you're the one that's managed to uncover. It's not under the name of Jean, and indeed, it's only your notes. The name Jean only appears at the very, very bottom of the report, but it titled the. Let me double check it because I don't want to give you the wrong name. Sorry about this. Trying to make sure I give you the actual right. You see, it's titled the Lantern Ghost Killer,
The Lantern Ghost.
and it details
That's kind of
about
badass.
5 different murders that have taken place. Each individual comes from a different job, different location of the Styes, different class level, different wealth level, different species, different gender, the whole thing. There's nothing the same about them, apart from the way that their bodies were displayed. If you heard about the Jack the Ripper, it's basically Jack the Ripper. The body's completely mutilated, organs kind of presented off to the sides, but in a way that shows intent. You know, it's not mindful stabbing. It's like this is almost surgical how this was done. Which made it somewhat surprising then, as you get down to the end of the report, that just a fisherman was found, no more than 50 yards from the last murder, clutching a bloody dagger, his clothes absolutely covered in the blood of his victim. And Jean was quickly imprisoned in the Hopener Asylum, and 2 days later was hung and killed. And there's no addition to this case after that. You do note, however, the 15. There is another recent murder, which is described as being surgically done, but was attributed to an unknown killer, and that's the most recent report of death in this stack of files.
The date on the most recent one, would it have been since our boy got hanged?
It's been since.
Okay.
It's been since, yes. But it's basically there's notes of investigation was undertaken, attribution to copycat, not the Lantern Ghost Killer. Lantern Ghost Killer neutralized. And that report is signed off by a Captain Sampson, whereas the initial report of the Lantern Ghost was signed off by. Sorry about this. Again, make sure I give you the right name. By Constable Jute. So it was as a captain, I think I said.
Yeah.
Captain Sampson
Simpson.
was the most recent death after the hanging of Jean.
He was the one who signed the report, not the most recent person killed, correct?
He was the one that signed the reports.
Got it.
There's no record of location of those where the murder took place in these reports, and no notation of who was killed. There's just basically an annotation of a note of records kept in garrison. So this is just like submitting there was a murder. The actual details of the murder itself is kept in the garrison itself.
I think Sid will.
I need to check out that garrison.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just go mouth off to the gnome a little bit. He said he'd send me right there. Hey, I'm back.
Perhaps.
Smash.
Perhaps not the way we intend.
I'm gonna start keeping a counter. How many people needs to piss off Arvyn until he changes sunglasses?
Oh, I will say one other bit of notes. Sorry about this. Is the note on the lantern ghost case makes mention of a individual by the name of Refum. It mentions Refum spoke on behalf of Eleanor Lovage, speaking for the innocence of Jarm Lovage. Involvement was deemed unnecessary, guilt was ascertained, execution undertaken. And then it makes a note of watch to be kept on Refum and Eleanor Lovage.
So Refum and Eleanor? Right.
Eleanor Lovage, yes. Eleanor's one you've heard of, obviously. Refum is a new name to you all.
Awesome. So I guess Sid will suggest we try to find Refum and speak to him about what he knows.
All right. So we got 3 names: the Constable, Refum, and then Captain Samson.
Yep.
And we're supposed to still meet Eleanor
At the
At the Drunken Steed.
yes.
Yep. So you got 4 names. You do know 2 of them are obviously associated, since Refum was made mention of alongside Eleanor.
I mean, it's a
So
little...
maybe if we go to see Eleanor, we will also encounter her.
Yeah, we might find the 2 of them together.
I could have 2 for.
We could go to the garrison to see what we could dig up there before we go meet Eleanor to see if, like, actually have something to present to her.
We actually know something.
Or more
Yeah.
than
I agree with that. But they're not going to just let us walk into the garrison and do whatever we want, right?
you never know. He might be pliable. We do have silver, and that's what it was for, to grease palms and or whatever we want.
You're true. I think we should go to the garrison first.
So we easily bought a civil servant for 3 silver pieces. So
Yeah,
we
that's
captains
true.
and constables might be a little bit more than 3 silver.
Hopefully not by much.
Got a bag of pennies. Here you
We'll
go.
go check it out.
Werther's Originals.
Yeah. Here you go, buddy.
You heading off to the garrison then?
Yeah, if everything's like, I imagine this place isn't like the best organized, so it's not like there's a very clear-cut file. It's like this is just a group of shit that
people
was
just-
like grouped together that we kind of discerned.
Pretty much.
Wait, where are we at currently before we leave?
5.
Okay, you got City Hall.
Huh?
Number 5.
Number 5, like dead smack in the middle.
City Hall.
Ah, okay.
Garrison's right next to it.
I just have a spell that I want to use,
Good.
but I don't know if I have a conceivable room for it. It is Hero's Feast.
Hero's Feast. I think I did say that all you have at least the material components to cast. If it has a consumable material component, that you are able to cast it twice.
Yes.
So you do have those components. So you could cast Hero's Feast here. It's like, but it's more the question of would you have the time to do so?
It takes 10 minutes to do so.
Okay. I mean, you could certainly try, but bear in mind you're in the place of administrative for this whole city, so any spell casting is probably not looked upon well, you can figure.
I will withhold my action until a better
Donuts
setting.
fall from the sky.
Okay.
Well, you're sitting there, you're casting it for 10 minutes. I already threatened the gnome at the desk. Like, they're not going to be happy. They're like, there's that asshole Eladrin.
And now they're
then
just
I don't know what
standing
his lizard friend has been doing for the last 10 minutes, but
Standing over there chanting.
Just like doing weird hippie arm movements. We're like,
This kind of silent wave. What's happening?
it's like flipping through books.
Yeah, we'll definitely process that again later.
Okay.
Yep, sounds good. All right. As you leave, Arvyn, you do get a stink eye from the old gnome. But other than that, you see Elizabeth kind of just goes back to work behind him. And you do see for a brief moment there's like a flare of the runes on the manacle she wears, and a similar flare on the desk she was at as well.
Not that I really have the ability to discern anything, but I do want to see what's going on with that. Is it like, is she bound to it? Is it something I could understand? I doubt it.
Make me Arcana.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It'd be difficult because you've only got a slight glance. You're not exactly looking them over, but you can make an attempt.
14. Because what, they flared up before this, right? Or do we just see that there were runes on it?
You just saw there were runes on it.
Okay.
With the 14, you've no idea.
Okay.
This is something not new. Like the runes themselves aren't exactly new, but what they are actually enacting is completely alien to you. You would need a good couple of minutes of investigation.
Is she the only one that we can see that has them?
Make me a perception.
Ooh, I'm good at this one. All right, we got 4. 18.
And that you can see a couple of the aides to the main clerks seem to have the similar bands.
All right, so
some of them are speaking, some of them aren't.
Okay, but it's safe to assume that there's like a tier of kind of employee that has them versus ones that don't.
Yeah. There are some that have it, and they're in the minority, and they seem to be as they're serving in the role of aides. It's their assistants, basically.
Wage slaves.
Oh, I don't like it.
Yeah, wage slaves.
I don't like it.
I will say, yeah, one of them that you see is missing a hand.
Elizabeth was missing her tongue.
Yes. Whereas at least one of them is missing a hand. You can see like the shirt sleeve is kind of tied off.
If you're an amputee, slavery.
I don't like this.
God. Hey, Rasma, you make me just a history check.
Okay.
As a sailor, well-travelled.
You've seen some shit.
Based on what you get, yeah.
I got a 17.
Nice.
Okay. I will say, with your travels, then, you've definitely heard of more than a few places that use particularly brutal punishments for crimes, especially crimes which are committed a lot, or maybe even just the once, depending how brutal the civilization is. For example, cutting off a hand to you brings the mind of theft and thievery.
Maybe don't have her working in the records department. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
So
they don't have to.
Oh, well, she can't talk. So all she can do is she can read everything. She can't tell anybody what she reads. All right, that makes sense.
Right now, she's just transcribe it.
All right.
I'm sure that's what
You have heard in some cases as well the idea of cutting out an individual's tongue for particularly egregious cases of slander, which has led to, well, unjust punishment in an extreme scale. It's like the idea of, to point out, this whole family is cult worshippers to a demon god. They've all gone and killed, there's found evidence, they're all killed. Turns out it was all planted and the slanderer was the one that wanted them dead. You've heard in some of those societies that sometimes they might take the individual's tongue as a kind of, you caused this through your slanderous words, you shan't speak again. So you kind of get the idea that what you're seeing might be some very, very brutal forms of punishment.
Yeah, that does feel likely. That's when I'll kind of relay this conversationally to my party without making too fighter of a point.
So what you're saying is the likelihood of them potentially hanging an innocent man is not like the craziest thing ever.
I mean, I feel like it's pretty low, though. I don't know.
Also,
You
that
think?
the vibe that everybody here is just very upright citizens, and nobody's scheming or doing anything they're not supposed to do. It's a very upstanding population.
Oh no, man.
I mean,
The opposite of that.
Is that how you feel, huh?
Yeah. So is there like a public square where the hanging took place, or was that also just in the garrison?
you have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. As we
It's easy
leave,
enough
go ahead.
to get to the garrison if you want to head there.
All right. As we leave, I'm just gonna say under my breath, you're gifted such a short life, and this is how you choose to spend it. And I'm just gonna kind of say it, like, not to anybody or not loud enough for anybody to hear, but just kind of to myself as I turn back and look at whatever the hell is going on in this place, and big dramatic, like, push the doors open and get out of there.
As you leave, you do hear one individual, who it is in the kind of small crowd that says that you've no idea, just say, "I'll take that stick out your arse and beat yourself over the head with it, you fucking outsider. Piss off." And you hear like a faint murmur of agreement going out around the crowd of whoever said it.
And I'm gonna knock something breakable off like a shelf on my way out the door. Like I'm turning into Dirk, basically. Like, I'm the cat that's knocking shit off the counters. Just bang.
Yeah. You're the cat today.
Yeah. I got you, Dirk. I don't like the way they've been treating you. Smash.
You heard a slight mutter of fucking elves. Self-righteous pricks from whoever it is as they kind of all go back to work.
Big yawn. I lived 1,200 years.
I'm going to pick up some of the stuff that he knocked over. And on the way out, without like physically shutting the door, I'm going to kind of bow. And my eyes flash blue and the door goes boom, then shuts closed.
As you shut it close, you immediately hear fucking outsiders from the two guards who stepped forward and shouldered the doors back open slightly, so it was back into the state where they were partially ajar, so people couldn't actually enter and exit without having to constantly open the doors.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Just give it like a glimmer, a dark eye to as you go by, just making their job all the more effort.
Yeah.
And you definitely hear, by the way, these doors, you hear them, as in you hear them. Those hinges are rusty in the extreme.
Wood's probably all warped too from all the water.
Yep. Yeah.
If I didn't have a
it's
face,
definitely a shoulder. They're having to shoulder these things open.
if I didn't have a face scarf on, you could see that I had a smirk.
I was like,
Fair enough.
I got a spell for this. I'm gonna be fake.
As you're heading down towards the garrison, Sidrius, you feel a slight heat beginning to emanate from your pocket.
From a pocket?
In your pocket, yes, or pouch, or whatever you have.
Sid will check it out, but he will think that's kind of weird.
What you pull out is a slightly smouldering piece of paper. It's not burning, but it's definitely getting hotter and hotter, if that makes sense.
He'll go and read it. As far as I'm aware, I didn't have his paper in before.
Yep. You have a flashback to one of those urchins who brushed past you in their urge to get to the coin, and yeah, no, that was definitely the side they brushed by. And you can see almost like runic countdowns, which I'd say as an artificer you're kind of used to, beginning to kind of form over on this parchment. And it basically says, "Outsiders brought by the Lovage. Keep an eye out, would you? Follow what trail you find, to wherever it may lead, and mayhaps I shall poach you at one point." This letter, as you're kind of reading it, you see the countdown getting like lower and lower, as if it's designed to spontaneously self-combust at some point.
Oh yeah, I'm interested to see what he does with it.
Sid, I can't imagine this would be like a big explosion type of thing.
Or like it just burned itself out.
Yeah. Sid just figures it'll just be something kind of light, so he'll just kind of like set it down on the ground and then like step on it and rub his boot into it to try to like destroy
as you
it.
do so. As you do so, you definitely do grind it into the muck and dirt. And I'll probably say, yeah, that's job done now. That's all sorted. You go to walk on a little bit, and there's a kind of a rush of air behind you, and you look back to see this thing just suddenly ignite into blue flame and just burns away.
Sid will probably approach Arvyn and will say, I'm not sure exactly when this happened, but one of the commoners brushed into me. I believe they left a note in my pocket detailing that we should follow this trail wherever it leads, to keep an open mind as we follow it. It seems like maybe the people of this town may know more than what they want to tell us. Thinking back to the gnome. Perhaps they will approach us as we show them that we're not here to cause problems, but rather than to fix problems.
The script on it, does it look like it was like well written? Is it kind of...
Best way I could describe it for you, Sidrius, and Arvyn as well, as Sidrius describes it. It's that type of handwriting someone does when they try to disguise their own handwriting. It's all kind of block letters and
as generic as
possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
All caps.
Yeah, pretty much.
Magazine clippings.
There's nothing, no hint to it of like, oh, this was written by this person.
They certainly don't want to be found out at the moment, though they did promise to reveal themselves eventually as we follow this trail.
Okay. Well, then, I mean, I see nothing to move us off this trail. It's the garrison and then off to the tavern. I seem to be rubbing people the wrong way here, so I'm gonna not kind of be an asshole in the garrison. But I'll be there if you need me to be, and I'm gonna kind of gesture for everybody to go in front of me.
Who's got the next best charisma?
I mean, I do. I'm just a dick about it. I mean, it's not...
I know. Well, we need a non-dick charisma.
I mean, I'm
bro.
sad. I mean, this place is bumming me out, man.
I know. Why are you so sad, bro?
Just
so
entropy. This place is entropy, like existing, and like I hate it in the universe. And here it is, like very clearly displayed. This whole place is gonna be underwater at some point, man. Entropy.
I will say, Sid has a -1 in charisma, so he's willing to do the talking, but he's probably not going to have the results you all want.
I have a +1. I'll take care of it. I'm not. I'm
You're
not filled with.
the next highest because I have a 0.
Oh shit! Well, okay. Considering I'm a
All right. Well, we have every step from +2 to -1, and unfortunately, the paladin is the +2 because I'm a stabby paladin, not a casty paladin. So I got a +7 to intimidation though, y'all. Like I got that. So
just different priority paladin.
It's just different avenues to the same destination.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
As you head towards the garrison, with that note now revealed, we'll take a quick break, I think.
Okay, awesome. It
right.
is currently 8:50. We'll take about a 10-minute break, and we will come right back. To everybody watching, thank you very much. To our good friend, Hey Wilson, thanks for checking in. To my players, you guys, thanks. This is a lot of fun, actually, being on this side. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take about a 10-minute break, and we will be right back. We hope to see everybody on the other side.
Indeed.
All right, we are back from our real life short rest, and with that, we will turn it back over to our DM, Sam.
Yeah. All right then, as you all head to the city garrison. You can see a couple of like changing of guards coming and going out of it. It's a kind of cross-shaped stone structure, made to be more long-lasting than the buildings around it. Though again, as with the city hall, 2 guards either side of the main entranceway. But they don't seem to be interfering with you as you approach. Indeed, you're more than able to enter directly if you want. Heading in, what you enter into is a large kind of open room with a series of desks. What seems to be off to like one side are back offices, an armory, clerk's office, storage, etc. off to the other. And it just seems this is just it's a staging ground for the guards. You don't know how much of it might be barracks or anything like that, or if they have homes elsewhere. But nevertheless, you can see just coming and going activity. People again kind of ignoring you, but less so to ignore you, and more so again busy, got work to do. If you need something, you'll approach. So we're not going to bother with you because we've got work we need to be doing. It's not like there's masses of people here either. Best upwards of maybe 6 people in this room, each busy with something.
Is this the same as the militia we saw when we were coming up?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
They're dressed the exact same, yeah.
Okay. If this town is like pretty fucked up and everybody seems to be sick, like does the militia look like well fielded, like it's capable, or is this, like the end of a war where we're down to like the old men and like the boys kind of a situation?
It's more the latter than the former.
Okay.
There are a few that seem to be kind of what you'd expect of a guard to be of some sort, but there are a few who are way too young or way too old. To kind of quote Lord of the Rings, some have seen too few winters, some too many.
Yes. Okay. All right. So, so don't be afraid of the guards. I mean, I take an old man.
Well, they're the minority. So
Sure.
it seems the majority of the guard. But it's like, okay, we need to actually add to these numbers, so fuck it.
That's what I'm saying. This is not a well, like, stocked,
Yep.
like, okay. All right.
Is there anyone that seems like they're in charge in here?
Not in particular, no. There may be in like the back offices, you imagine, but in this main quarter, less so.
Let's make our way to the back offices.
As you do to go, so the kind of guard who's stationed closest to the back door, what you imagine leads to the kind of the back offices. To clarify, when you enter, you can see that's the corridor with the only doors. The other 2 are kind of open into what seems to be an armory rather, and the other opens into maybe a storage room, filing room, maybe further back into barracks. You don't know, but the ones before you, the only ones are kind of blocked by doors. So you imagine they might be where the superiors are. As you go and do so, one of the guards who are sat at a desk, dressed down out of their armor, with a weapon to one side, sees you coming, puts their hand on the handle of the warhammer, and just slowly pushes themselves to their feet slightly. And you see in middle-age, half-orc male, kind of just tilting his head towards you all inquisitively. Can I help you all with something?
Yes.
The Hall of Records.
The Hall of Records of the garrison are closed to the public. You can submit an appeal at the City Hall. We will get back to you within 4 to 5 days.
That will not work for us. We are on a greater mission.
I mean, no offense, but I don't give 2 shits about your greater mission. There's a way to do things here in the Styes, and you outsiders, whatever reason you have, will not impede. I am happy to help if I can help in any way, but there are procedures.
Well, just point us in the right direction so that we may be good procedures.
As I say, if you head to the city hall, you can file an appeal there to have access to the garrison's records. We will get back to you within 4 to 5 days if you give us a point of address. I can do no more than that. I am sorry. I wish I could help you, but I can do no more than that.
You cannot show me the direction to the records themselves.
It's over there. He just points to kind of the storage room that you saw. In Dry Ender, of course, you would have to overcome the runes. The alchemists of this city are... well, they cause so much chaos, but at least they can be useful in some regards. To remove a record without the proper authorization will result in petrification and leave you there for us to find.
Ooh.
That seems fair. We have no ill intent.
I did not expect as such. As I say, I'm happy to help you, but I cannot circumvent procedure, you understand? It would be my own head if I did.
I'll, like, just kind of rattle my claws on my coin purse.
You glance down at the coin purse and up at you. It would be my head, I'm afraid. And I'm sorry, but I value that more than coin. And if not my head, my job. And I value that more than a bonus.
That's fair.
Other than that, there's no reaction. It's like, it's fully expected to kind of offer the bribe. It's like, it seems that's just the way. So it's like, I accept that, but I can't go with it.
Not a good enough offer.
Yep.
Well, it's good that he wasn't offended.
There is a kind of a wry smirk around his tusks at the action, though. I was like, okay, yeah, you're kind of learning the ways of the city already. Good on you.
All right.
I am happy to help you in any other way I can, though.
We were just at the city hall.
It is the way it is, isn't it? Bureaucracy, or the paperwork, I hate it. And he kind of glares down at his own desk where you see a small amount of paperwork.
I'd like to speak to the manager.
Hey, Karen.
Manager, if you're speaking of the constable, I would fetch Jute for you, but she is currently on patrol.
Yes, Constable Jude.
She's on patrol at the moment. If you have a point of address in the city where you're staying, I can...
Sampson?
Captain Sampson is sadly also on patrol at this moment as well. I'm sorry, we're not exactly many in number. Many of us are on patrol at the moment.
When do they get back from patrol?
The constable shall be back in 6 hours' time. Captain, however, shall be back in 7.
Ooh.
He took the shift after her. As I say, if you have a point of address in the city where you are staying, I can leave a message as to what you are seeking to inquire with them for. You are clearly, well, he kind of gestures to your own armaments and then down to his own, which are much less cared for. You're clearly at least those of either wealth or strength, I would imagine. So I would wish to help you however you can, if you can help us give order to the city. If there is a point of issue or concern you have, then, as I say, if you have a point of address within the city, let me know, and I can inform either the captain or the constable to reach out to you at their earliest convenience.
I'm going to kind of
We have no P.O. box in the Styes yet.
I'm going to kind of
You're not
interject.
staying anywhere.
Was there an offer to deputize us? Is that, am I understood? That
No, we could not really afford to do so, and the councillors, as much as they are hands-off in recent decades, I imagine if we did that without their authorization, it would be my head. Well, yes, I think, Sidrius doesn't give any two shits what goes on outside of his mortuary. Thornwell might stand for me, but Russian and Dory would not admit it, and 2 out of the 4, the other 2 would not get in their way, so it'd be my own head if I tried to deputize you.
How many days has it been since he's been hung?
You're not too sure the exact date.
Oh, because it happened real quick.
But because it happened real quick, but it's been nearing a week. Because of the time it took for the letters to get there for each journey, you're getting on a week.
Just wondering if there's a body still at the mortuary.
You're always welcome to ask.
Oh, you're fine. Is this half orc like? Is he? Is he there because of his physical size as like a badge-wearing bouncer, or
he's definitely got physicality to him, but from his mannerisms so far, you do get the idea it's less so, here, you're a thug, we're going to give you the badge, as more someone who is dedicated to the city in whatever regard that might be. He is at least somewhat dedicated to his job. He's not just a simple thug. On the matter of deputization, however, while deputization is not possible, we would be willing to work with you. We can always use those of strength who can be deployed more freely around the city to help bring order to the chaos.
Here's my concern. We haven't been here very long.
Yes, you're outsiders. I would, by the way, I'd advise not running around with such...
There it is. It's
good-looking things on you. It's
that word. If I feel that if we're to help you... we have what I would call some roadblocks to our success here. One of it is the perception as outsiders. And is there something that, not in the sense of being a deputy per se, but maybe, kind of an official like patronage perhaps. Something to show that we are not the... carpetbaggers that you locals would like to pretend us to be.
You could certainly appeal to one of the many alchemists of the city. They are eccentric enough in their experiments that they often bring in outsiders. You could appeal to one of the councillors in one of their abodes, although they are unlikely to really hear you for a meeting. Beyond that, we of the militia could try to give you some degree of authority, only that would only highlight you as outsiders, you understand. Really, the best thing you can do is keep your head down, don't look so shiny and clean, and keep quiet.
Stand there, look down at my plate armor. Let's see. I'm gonna look at...
on your armor.
I'm gonna look at Sid. What do you want to meet some alchemists?
Yes.
Before you hurry off, as I do just wish to clarify, was there a reason behind you wanting to speak with the captain or the constable? As I say, if you have a point of reference I can deliver a message to, a tavern where you're staying at or something, that I could leave that message. If you go and see the alchemists, however, I would advise caution. They are strange. Very strange.
You said they're more apt to work with outsiders, and so I will take that as a...
Well, we say to work with outsiders. How fond are you of... And he kind of gestures to kind of your whole body. You staying looking like that. The right number of fingers, the right number of eyes, the right number of toes, the right number of limbs, the right color of skin, etc. Instead of being transformed into difference. As I say, they are their own authority unto itself, essentially, in the city, and despite our best efforts, we do not exactly give law to them. If you pick wrong of what alchemist you seek to sponsor you, you could undergo something quite unpleasant. I would personally advise against it. We lost more than a few intrepid explorers.
Sid, does this change your mind?
I think we can hold our own with the alchemists.
I do say, if you do start a battle within the confines of the city, it is my lawful duty to inform you that a battalion of the militia guard will descend upon your location. It is our prerogative to detain both sides of a fight until we can ascertain as to what exactly has been going on. Just my official warning to you all.
I'm sure.
Yes, but if the alchemists are trying to take fingers and eyes. And...
Well, they are still important to the city. They are a good source of income, and, well, as I said, any kind of gestures towards where the records are, they have given us their use in the past. So it is not exactly an easy thing to manage the balance of power, especially when our council is so disbanded and disjointed in recent years. Forgive me, by the way, for intruding. I did just want to make sure you're fully informed. And he, by the way, at this point, he has let go of his kind of warhammer. He's just kind of standing there, just talking normally at this point. It seems your lack of aggression has kind of calmed him down.
What inn are we meeting our contact at?
The lower quarter. So, like, I was gonna ask him how long it would take to, like, get there.
At the inn you're looking for is the Drunken Steed.
The Drunken Steed? Well, if we... I'll tell him that we're going to be at the Drunken Steed to send the constable there, perhaps.
It's not too bad a place, not too far to the way. I could speak to the constable. It would not be immediately upon her return that Jute would seek out for you, but she could either, on her next patrol tomorrow, call by there for you, or she could send a message for you if you would like.
I'll give him 5 silver pieces to make sure that she gets the message.
You'll look down, and in a very, what seems to be a Styes-like action, it's just swiped away before you can really blink. I'll make sure she gets the message.
They're super.
Everybody here is great at, like, close-up magic.
Yeah, sleight of hand.
David Blaine.
Fuck, that is my silver coin.
Your silver coin, it's my silver coin now. Have a dagger instead. Is there anything particular that you would wish me to impart upon Jute? Just that you are looking to speak with her?
Yes.
Very well then. He will bend down over his desk and you watch him scribble out a note. If it would appease you, just wait here 1 moment, please. He folds up, turns, and goes to the doors, and you can see it's definitely like a series of small offices off of a corridor, essentially. Goes down to the one at the far end and steps in. You can see him lay the paper on a desk and then close the doors, come back out. Just to assuage you that the job will be done, and it is done. And he kind of gives a nod to you, Dirk. Recognize that you've paid for it. Is there anything else I can advise you with before you leave? You took it with a chip on your shoulder, but you are outsiders to the Styes. So I would hate to find your body in a back alley stripped clean of all your weapons and armament and all your coin and having to send you to the mortuary.
That will not occur.
Very well. If you're so certain, do you all have a next of kin? Someone I can send your I can send your ashes to. Otherwise, we should just bury it out in the marsh.
I'll look over at Arvyn like, are you fucking serious right now? That look on my face, but not say anything.
They're definitely not going to find my people in the Feywild. Like, these people care. I'm not going to bury me. They're not going to make sure I get to the Feywild. Plus, I've lived like 1,200 years. This place is nothing. I appreciate the offer. My companion's confidence is not in vain. I'm good, but thank you. I'm gonna try to be nice about it. Like, I realize that didn't really sound that way, but I'm gonna try to be nice about it.
He just gives a kind of nod, almost appreciating the bluntness of your words. Just very well then. It's just the same for all of you.
Yes.
Right. In that case, if I do find you dead and robbed of all that you are worth, I will say a brief word over your pyre for you then.
If we are all found dead somewhere in this city, you're doomed.
My friend, welcome to the Styes. Everyone is doomed.
And now Arvyn's sad again. It's all this entropy, it's everywhere. Like, damn it, man. Let's like slump and kind of like walk away, not even like kind of trying to be a badass anymore, brooding again.
Did I say something to insult your Elvish friend?
It is.
He is easily mood assuaged.
He's
Very
moved.
good. If you wish to seek me out again, by the way, I am Lieutenant GrowedUpGeek.
LT.
LT smash.
So GUROK, GrowedUpGeek.
All right, we know a constable, a lieutenant, and a captain, making our way up the chain of command, y'all.
Getting there. We're getting there.
After captain, I imagine constable, and then probably council after that.
Chief.
Well, then, if I cannot help you anymore, I wish you a good day. Only I have a lot of fucking paperwork to deal with.
Where's the closest place we can maybe get a ferry across to the lower quarter?
Ferries, you will not exactly find ferries. However, fishermen you can find coming back to and forth. Just go out along the shore edge and you will find at least one or two probably there, kind of bringing in their spoils. For a slight bit of coin, they're more than willing to ferry people back and forth.
And the distance is too great for like the rickety rope bridge and the end of Temple of Dooms kind of stuff, yeah?
Is this in character, out of character? Sorry.
For out of character.
Okay, out of character. The bridges are there, but it's like they're not exactly in the best condition.
Sure, but even over that great of a span of distance, like is like a bridge is the bridge an option from over like from one like if we're to like completely cross over?
Yeah, the bridge is an option. It's just a risky option.
Okay, yeah, no, fisherman all the way.
Especially for the cat, it's probably a good thing. Gets you not walking on a tightrope above water.
Yeah.
That was out of character, by the way.
Oh no, man! Like part of me
York is
like,
too affable to actually say that.
I don't know. I think the balance thing probably be like advantageous. The boat just seems like rickety.
I got a
It would
pretty
be so easy.
I got a pretty good athletics, you know.
Well, it's acrobatics to not fall into the drink. So
Right.
I think you'd be fine, but not Landon and his fucking 900-pound Saint Bernard.
That's
yeah,
true.
that's a good point actually.
Okay, all right. Yes, I guess we.
companion could probably walk it, but it would be a great risk of just the rope snapping under his weight.
Plus, I don't want to put him through that. Like, I don't know his deck save, but I can't imagine it's very good.
The dwarf in heavy armor probably has a killer deck.
I mean, plus if he falls in, bro, like him and I are both sinking. Like,
To be fair, I took resilient for dexterity, so I do actually have a pretty good dexterity saving throw.
what about
Oh,
Beowulf?
I have an 8 strength, so don't expect me to pull you out of the water.
I think Beowulf is proficient in. Hold on one second.
Just hire all the fishing boats.
He
and have
he
just
is.
a
Let's
bridge.
just stick with the fishing boats.
I mean, we're gonna have to
So-
split
so-
up.
So both Sid and Beowulf are proficient in dexterity
There you
saving
go.
throws.
I mean, we have to split up boats. Like, seriously, we have a dwarf in plate and a dog, an elf in
Well,
plate.
and I'm not in plate.
Oh,
I'm in half plate.
That's still twice
like quarter-
as much
it's like
plate
quarter of
as
my
anyone
plate.
else.
Yeah.
okay. All right. And then
I will say, by the way, something I did forget to mention about the kind of geography of the city. Where you are now with the garrison is more in the merchants' quarter than the high quarter.
Okay.
It's kind of as you cross over into where the city hall is. That's kind of boundary to the high quarter, just to give you that kind of perspective.
okay. All right.
Yes. Do you wish to go and find a ferry, or fisherman to ferry you across?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Let's head to the docks.
I'm gonna
and see
thank the
what-
lieutenant. You know, thank you for your help. Be sure that the constable, is that who you left the letter to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Constable Jute, yes.
Um,
As I mentioned, by the way, should be 6 hours until she's back on her from her shift. Do you require her to reach out to you immediately, or is it okay for her to rest?
We would prefer that she immediately did so.
Immediately do so. Okay, I shall inform her to reach out if she's able. Do bear in mind she is coming off an 8-hour shift of patrol, so no promises.
If she is able.
If she's able to, I shall have her meet you at the Drunken Steed, I believe you mentioned.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Very well then. Good day to you all. And he'll give each of you a nod and sit back down and go back to his work. As you leave, by the way, it's getting about midday-ish at this point.
That's fine.
You pulled into dock early morning. I will say it's not hard at all to find a fishing boat at all. It's for one copper piece. You can buy your passage across the going to the lower quarter towards to where the Drunken Steed is. You're probably looking at a silver piece.
I'll give one of the guys 2 silver pieces, and then just kind of lay down on the boat and kind of wrap myself up in my cloth and take a nap on the way.
Sorry, when I say silver piece, I mean for each boat. My bad.
Yeah, my guy, I gave him 2 pieces.
Oh, do we each are these boats so small that we each require like one? Like, am I going out like in a John boat here?
You could all crowd onto one if you really wanted to, but it's probably safe to split it to a boat. Well, 3 because you got the person actually, the actual fisherman, but 3 a boat is stable-ish.
I'll take my own boat. I'll just go with the one fisherman guy.
Okay.
So with a cat, see if I can find a dude with a catamaran out there.
Listen, there are, by the way, you can see a few floating skiffs essentially that are out in the more wider stretch of the water. So, and as the rope bridges are there, and they're basically they're not. So it's not like there's point A, point B, if you will. It's multiple connections across the water where like large poles have been piled and driven down into the seabed. So it's like there's many rope bridges kind of going from one pole to another.
Super sketchy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's not at all the best, but you do see a small number of people going back and forth even as you're rowed across.
All right. I'm gonna get my own boat as well. The plate has me. The plate has me kind of freaked out.
Okay. In that case, I say it's at least a silver. If you want to pay more, you're allowed to pay more.
Yeah, I'm gonna give my guy 2 silver.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna ask him if he has like a cup or something.
He finds a very battered looking cup, more of like a tin mug that goes with a flask, essentially, that type of thing. Something to like steep a tea in while it's out fishing.
Okay. I'm gonna empty whatever's in it. I'm gonna take like a big old cup full of the Styes water.
He watches you do that, looks down at the silver, and then goes, "I'll buy another." Just pockets the coin.
And then I'm gonna cast purify food and drink.
Yep. I mean, spell goes off. It's still filthy. It's because you've still got like bits of dirt and mud in it, but you do feel the spell purifies something.
Trust me, it tastes better than it looks. And I'm gonna like just give him like this kind of sad like trauma like unloading of being sad and all the things that he, all the benefits that they have by living a much shorter lifespan and enjoying the things that they can while they can, while giving him apparently this dirty ass glass of water.
Yep. If you're telling him all this, just make me an insight check.
Drink the water. This guy's on the ragged edge. Just
he
drink
thinks
the water.
you are batshit crazy. For a robust 5, I think he is so appreciative and he wants to throw me overboard.
So what you don't see, but the others do, is he goes to drink and just tips it over his shoulder, essentially, and just pours the water back into this inlet, essentially.
It's good, right?
And then he's just sat there. To you, he's just nodding along, invested in what you're saying. To the other 3, it's very obvious that if you look across, this guy's just zoned out. Almost immediately. He's just nodding every now and then. Yeah, okay. You're a strange outsider. I'm just gonna just keep talking. Just don't.
It's the
don't
John.
bother me.
It's
Just
the John Silver and Anna J meme. Just. Just like cringing as I talk. So anyway, like I said, you're just so lucky. You don't have to live as long. You're not going to see this world just fall apart. You know, it like look at. I mean, look at this city. I'm sure it was great at one point. Now look at it. Why? You do all the things right. Ocean's going to take what it's going to take. It's maddening. I'm going to sit back down and just brood.
For the other three of you, as you're going across, you notice this small island, which is closest to the actual kind of mouth of the opening. That's the one, as you sail past it, you can see the looming figure of this like run-down lighthouse. You know, what was probably once a grand beacon, in a full display of like the very nature of the Styes, is just run down, broken. You can see what was once where the windows were at the top are just shattered entirely, and it's listing heavily to one side at this point. What light there was once there, it has probably not shone in decades at this point, as it's slowly sunk to the ocean. And indeed, as you get closer to the lower quarter islands, you can see in like breaks in the water where the water goes a bit clearer, you can see shop fronts, house fronts, streets even beneath the water level, with buildings just built on top of them. It seems this section of the Styes, more than any other bit, is just constantly sinking down into the mud and silt of the seabed, and then it's just being built on top of constantly, in a constant effort to try and escape that submergence. It almost makes all of you, or those that see it, pick up on an idea that the people of the Styes, those that have not left, refuse to let their home be taken from them. It's a constant effort to build new buildings on top of olds that have become unavailable and unlivable. It's an effort to keep what was once there still there. It doesn't matter how many times you might have to change the layout or change which buildings are technically on the surface. They're going to keep building as much as they can. And then you can see in the structure, it's obvious that these are not well-made buildings. It's rickety-looking warehouses. You can see decommissioned ships have been dragged ashore by heavy chain, and then they've been made into new buildings and homes even. You see small hovels which are built on top of each other, tilting dangerously. It looks like the worst type of slum you can imagine, but one that is just constantly building on top of itself. At this point, the whole of the lower quarter stands probably about 4 stories high above the water, and it's home atop tavern atop home, essentially. But there's probably infinite more beneath the water. Just decades of history lost to the sea. You can even see, as you get closer to this point, you do see like old toys and things like that just drifting in the water, alongside just like driftwood and rope and things like that, like a small young girl's doll, straw, made of twisted straw, which was probably lost at some point when that home suddenly sunk into the water. This is probably the most depressing part of the Styes that you've seen so far. Even though as you draw closer still, you don't see many people kind of huddling in the streets. You imagine that they are there just kind of individuals lost among the crisscrossing ways of the lower quarter. Not in the streets, because there's many nooks and crannies that you can find in old buildings. And you imagine even some are probably beneath the water, in buildings that were sealed off. And that if you find the right hatches or doors, you can probably go beneath the water into what was once homes of people. Nevertheless, you're soon brought to a slight port or dock or shoreline. The shore, by the way, for the Styes, anywhere that is shore, is just like thick, grimy mud. Just almost more slime than mud at this point. It's in no way like a healthy, earthy material anymore. And you're just kind of shown off by the fishermen.
How far from where the boat lands to somewhere where I don't have to touch the slimy mud?
It's not much. Any buildable space is kind of made use of. So it goes from slimy mud to just compact kind of dirt pathways and streets, and with some semblance of stone or wood to kind of make a better road. It's no more than like a couple of feet. But it's steep, but it's no more than a couple of feet.
I'll jump from the boat to the driest.
Yeah.
Drier of the lands.
It's easy enough. There's like hanging pieces of wood from buildings that aren't properly made, where the wood wasn't cut, it was just slammed into place, or dangling bits of rope. It's easy enough to kind of find outlaying bits to scramble up, and all of you can do so. Even Beowulf can find like a shallower angle to scramble up after you, Sidrius. Nevertheless, you can all get on shore, and one of the fishermen does point you out to where the drunken steed is. Basically, it's on the other side of this small island, northernmost point. And he just gives a kind of, I'm gonna say, he kind of tips his flat cap at you all, because he has flat caps. They have flat caps, rather. And then turns, and him and the other two that ferried you across go back out into the water. Whether to do more work or to head home, you don't know.
I'm going to yell at my driver. Remember, you don't get a lot of life on this planet. Enjoy everything you can.
Rasma, with your passive perception being the highest, you hear a faint mutter of "fucking elves" as the sky just rose out into the water.
I think I reached him.
Chuckle to myself.
I think I reached him. I think I really
made it.
Changed his life.
No doubt, Arvyn, you reached it.
But yes, you're left by yourselves in the lower quarter.
Is it just midday right now?
It's midday-ish, 1, 2-ish, something like that.
All right. So I'll take a quick look around and see if I can get a cursory summary of where I'm standing.
Okay, as I say, it's kind of just like a mishmash of just homes and businesses and taverns just kind of piled on top of one another. It's like to go in a straight line is you'd have to go like up 2 levels, down another 2, round a corner, which is a public house or something. It's a mess of direction. Indeed, the buildings around you loom up above you, essentially, and there's very, very little sunlight where you are, even as the sea mist slowly starts to retreat.
And you said there's not a lot of like urchins in the street, or there's not like a lot of like people.
There's not many in the streets, but there's also not many. There's not many urchins in the street, but also there's not many people in the streets. Those that are kind of hurrying to where they need to go, and they're going as quickly as they can.
Okay.
I say with urchins, you imagine this being worse than the merchants' quarter. There's probably some, but they're hidden away in all the nooks and crannies of the lower quarter. They're not out on the streets where they are in more danger. They've found their own little nooks to defend.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna just tuck my cape behind my sword again. Let it be all shiny and conspicuous, and I'm gonna head off to the tavern. They pointed it out to us, right? They gave us like a general.
Yeah, they basically said just follow this to the northernmost point of the island, and you'll it's obvious.
Okay.
I'm going to keep to the rooftops.
Okay. In that case, Dirk, you can see. You can see pretty soon, almost immediately actually, as you go to the rooftops, you can see the way, because the reborn steed is pretty obvious from where you are. It's almost like the island is on a slope. You're on the lowest point of the slope. The tallest point is the northern point of the island, essentially, so you can see what seems to be the reborn steed. You can't see a signage or anything, but it seems like a tavern of some sort. You're with winding stairs going to it. So you can, I'd say with that, there's no risk of you guys getting lost. Dirk, you can kind of guide the other 3 where they need to go. You do get a few odd looks, especially with your sword on full display, Arvyn, and with Beowulf going along beside Sidrius. That's completely new. You get a few odd looks, but it seems those that might have been toughs weigh you up and decide you're not worth the bother. They just kind of leave you be to pass.
That's a polite way of saying I don't want to die.
Pretty much.
I don't want to get chopped in half by the guy with the huge sword. Yeah, that makes sense.
The guy who looks really sad and angry at the same time.
How did he get a sword?
On your way through, by the way, you can see where the efforts have been made to kind of habitize this place. You can see like an odd tree which someone's planted long ago and kind of bursts up through the streets. You know, what was probably once planted in a backyard of someone's is now in the middle of the street now that things have been built on top of it. But it seems that the people of the lower quarter they haven't cut it down or anything. And by all looks, even if they look barren without leaves, seem to be trying to keep these things still growing. You know, they want to keep them alive as best they can. You can see hanging lanterns and such lighting your way in the gloom of the narrow passageways, and occasionally where they open up, you can see where faint rivers and streams have been almost made by certain aspects of the land sinking quicker, where ramshackle bridges, or even some like fully made stone bridges at times, where they wanted something to be more permanent, where they've been erected. But nevertheless, with Dirk's help, you very quickly managed to get your way to the Drunken Steed. This is built basically on what's the word? High tops? On high poles, basically. It's been built so that if it slowly sinks, this building won't need anything built on top of it for a long time. And it won't sink for a long time either. So it stands up and above the rest of the buildings around it because it's on stilts. That's it, basically built on stilts. With a long wooden walkway up to it. Dirk, unfortunately for you, it's even with the mist receding, by the way, it's still pretty muggy and it's a very wet atmosphere still. So you've not yet found a chance to dry off.
I'm loving the way it's in.
Heat a small room. I have a magic item that makes it 95 degrees and dry. It's a dry heat.
Yeah, you've got a heater.
Give me a closet and I'll dry off real quick.
Fair enough. Yeah, if I just move you to the building. The map, there we go. Yes, as you enter, the Drunken Steed is still populated, even this being midday. You can see people, not the stereotypical, you know, cloaked figure huddling in a shadowed corner, the stereotypical D&D thing. But these are individuals who are cloaked and they are huddled around their own cups, basically just kind of in their own little world, drowning their own sorrows, if that makes sense. It's not like they're the mysterious figure in the corner, but more, these are people who are just weighed down by the misery of living in the Styes, and this is their only escape. So they're just sinking into their own little world. There is a small fireplace off to one side, which is burning somewhat brightly, with a bit of heat coming off of it. You can see what were probably once plush armchairs set around it, although the kind of constant moisture to the air has definitely ruined these things long ago. And in front of you, there is a small bar set, behind which there's a very spindly looking, almost unhealthily gaunt young male stood there.
Is he sick with the same thing as everybody else, or is this his own kind of thing?
He doesn't seem to be.
Okay.
It's more just he looks sickly gaunt. You don't know if that's an actual illness, malnutrition, or just appearance.
My guy just looks like that. All right.
Actually, let me check something. I didn't think would come up.
Leave it to the DM to ask weird questions.
Hey, what particular disease does this guy have?
I would say I was
Okay,
like, I have list of restoration, so I could give my man like a 10. Be like, "Boob, you doing all right, man? You better?"
Yeah, no, you've no idea.
Okay.
He doesn't seem to be as ill as others, although you do hear kind of those sickly coughs from the other patrons and the red marks. One of them actually huddled in the very corner has what seems to be just bandage strapped around their head at this point. You can see their entire face is just taken by redness. And they're just off to their own corner.
Good.
Got psoriasis.
Sunburn. I was out in the water. The fisherman.
Well, I don't drink, so I'm just going to have a seat in one of the chairs next to the fireplace.
Yep.
And
It's empty, by the way. The fireplace is abandoned. No one's sat there.
Nothing's going on over there.
Sorry, lizard boy.
Everyone's kind of just sat in their own little corner of the world, essentially. You know, no one's really talking. It's one of those, Joe, where you walk into a completely silent room and you feel completely awkward if you were the one to break the silence. It's that kind of atmosphere.
It's all just regulars. These people are in here every single day of their lives. They all equally hate each other.
Yep, pretty much. If not, they don't hate each other equally. They hate themselves equally. Yeah. So just don't interact.
Nice. So these are like the people that live in the Styes are like the people that live in the Salton Sea. They just like, it's the worst place ever, but they'll never leave. I love it. It's a shithole, but it's my shithole.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a shithole, but it's my shithole. Is the best way to describe it.
Nice. Okay.
Can I see the tree from the front door to the tavern?
You can see one of the trees. There are a couple. It seems like at some point there was an effort to try and plant stuff, but there's only a few. But there is one visible from the front door at the time.
All right. While everybody kind of stands there awkwardly, I'm gonna leave and go back to one of the trees.
Okay, it's about 2-minute walk. Okay. Not too far.
And
it's not like you see the base of the tree. It's like you see the top of the trunk, if that makes sense.
And what, it's cut down like the Lorax, or it's just not like a healthy tree?
Not a healthy tree, but it still seems to be alive.
Okay, cool. A spell I've never used or seen used. I'm going to cast Plant Growth on it.
Okay.
All normal plants in a 100-foot radius centered on that point become thick and overgrown.
Okay.
So I'd like just to see if I can get this tree to like bloom or be something that's not so depressing.
Yeah, I'm just reading the
future
spell.
Generations to build on. They could put tree forts in this.
Well, I'm thinking about casting it for 8 hours while we're at the bar and leaving it like this for a year.
That works. Yeah, no, that works.
So wait, after a year, all the stuff that they've
it's just gonna die one day, and everybody's gonna be real fucking sad.
Yeah. Choosing point range.
Manny.
If you cast further attack, alternate since this point becoming rich for 1 year, the ministry toss was okay, yeah. You do watch slowly as this tree almost seems to shudder within itself, and you see like the start of a leaf start to form as it becomes a bit healthier. Not instantaneous. This thing is so near dead already. Your efforts are beginning to work.
It's fine.
It's make me a nature check though.
Ooh. Jesus, man. I'm like not proficient in like anything useful. I'll take it. 13. Not too bad.
There's something unnatural about this tree though. About how it's growing. Almost illness to it, as you can feel the spell resonate out. Not a normal disease, but some rot that is not normal rot, essentially setting into this tree. And indeed, as it blooms and slowly begins to bloom, you can see the leaves that grow are not normal looking. The leaves themselves look sickly and diseased.
Oh, now I'm sad again.
This place is a place of sadness, unfortunately. But if you want to make me you're a paladin actually, so yes. Make me either religion or arcana.
What happens when you take religion as your dump stat? God damn it. Let's do arcana.
I mean, what else might work for paladin?
I'll take arcana. It. 16.
It's not a natural thing. This affliction. It's almost like a rot into undeath, if that makes sense. It's not an undead tree, but it's almost like the affliction itself carries that taste of undeath.
Entropy with its foot on the gas. Got it. All right. Well, I'm going to take what I thought was a really emotional victory for me by bringing this tree back to life, and I'm going to take it as a mixed bag. Not only the leaves sickly, but there's like worse news now.
With your efforts, I will say with the spell, if it's kept being cast, it will serve to overcome that rot. It's not fully consume the tree by any case.
Okay.
So if you maintain the efforts, you can get it healthy again.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind, but I am kind of bummed. And then I'll go back to the bar.
While Arvyn was going through a cycle of depression and then drawing the depression again from what he's experiencing, what are the other three of you doing?
I'm gonna walk up and talk to somebody.
Did you just pick a random person?
Yeah, whoever looks to be the most approachable.
The most approachable is someone with a very familiar face. Eleanor, or you imagine might be Eleanor based on the locket. You can see she's constantly glancing at the door, waiting for like 2 minutes, and then goes back down to like a book she's reading. When you came in, she glanced up almost excitedly, saw no response from you all, saw one of you leave, sighed, and went back to a book.
Yeah, we work in mysterious ways.
Rejected.
I'll walk up. Do I still have the locket, or was it just a look at the locket?
I think Sidrius had the locket. One of you has the locket, because the idea of it was I can't remember if I described it as a 2-piece or 3-piece locket. If I described it as 2, it's now 3, and it's the loved children, so Beatrix, Jean, and Eleanor.
Do you have the locket?
I actually don't remember, but we will say that I do.
I can't remember either. I didn't make a note who had it. One of you had it.
You can just like walk up to
you
it
remember-
like this.
I remember talking about the locket.
Yeah.
I don't remember what we did with the locket.
Well, I know you've got it, and I telekinesis it into my hand.
I'll also retcon it. If I said he took it back, I'm not saying he gave you, so you had identification. There you go.
There you go.
Fuck it. I can retcon it.
Yeah,
There you go.
It's your boss. You're the boss here.
This you.
I'll walk up to her and say, Lady Eleanor, and
She looks up as you approach and very much perks up, excitedly, expectantly, almost, hopeful. Well, I'm no lady, but I am Eleanor. Yes.
I am glad to see that you are safe, or at least alive currently.
As safe as I can be here. Do I know you?
We are here from a mutual acquaintance.
There are many who are mutual acquaintances. Can you be more precise, my friend? And you can see under the table she's reaching for something.
All right. I'm trained in stealth and pickpocketing, so I'm going to see what she's got going on.
From her action, you can probably guess it's pretty obvious. She's a civilian. Your experienced travelers yourselves. She's probably reaching for a dagger of some sort she has on her just in case, as like self-defense, because you're being very mysterious and that you imagine there are probably a lot of gangs in the area, so mutual acquaintance could mean a hell of a lot of negative things.
It's true. Our mutual acquaintance is Captain, right?
Say again, sorry?
Beatrix is her sister.
Beatrix, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, we are here from. We ran into Beatrix. Here.
Oh, you're the one that Beatrix and Lycian sent, yes?
Yes, we are here to investigate.
Oh, good. Her hand draws away from what it was and kind of goes back on top of the table, folding her book close. The locket. They said they would send you with Beatrice's locket as proof. You understand, this place is not kind to those who are naive.
I'll wave my hand and the locket will float over towards her.
She, taken aback a bit at the fact that it's floating towards her, reaches out and takes it and... Oh, good. Closes it and puts it back on the table before you. It's probably best you keep a hold of that and return it to Beatrix later. But, I'm good. I'm happy to see you arrived. Please, where are my manners? Sit, have a seat. Do we need to wait for your friend who left?
We will leave him an open spot. He'll be back. He generally has his own needs that need to be met. And I'll pull up a chair and sit down.
She's definitely a bit confused, but as you say, please, all of you, sit. Do the other two of you go and sit?
Yeah, go sit down.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and Beowulf will lay by our feet.
Okay. She looks down a bit, taken aback by seeing a metal dog, but she kind of shrugs it off. Well, it is good to meet you all. Manners, where are my manners? I am Beatrix Lovitch. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Even if you might know my name, it's only polite. Might I know all of you?
I am Rasma du Erdah, High Priest of the Lunas Order.
Rasma? Okay.
I'm Sidrius. I am an inventor, a adventurer, and this is my masterpiece and my best friend, Beowulf.
Well, Citrus and Beowulf, I suppose. Well met to you both. And yourself, sir?
Just kind of growl my name at her, Dirk.
Well, Dirk, a pleasure. Hopefully you are all able to help like my brother and sister said they would. How much were you informed of the situation at hand?
As much as was known, though it was not much.
You know of Jean's, of his passing, then? And
Yes.
my suspicions? Okay.
Yes.
Well, she nods to herself and then kind of looks around the room cautiously and... Well, much as... Do you have rooms to stay? Did you find places to stay yet?
We have not.
Good. That is good. She goes to say something, kind of stops and second guesses herself for a moment, and I think it's best we discuss this somewhere safe. I do not think this is a good, safe place to be in. Well, ears are everywhere, you know. I do know someone who can help us, though. Master Refram would be of aid if you're willing to follow. I can swear to you on my sister and brother-in-laws and their lives, my brother's departed soul, if you would like. That I am not leading you to a trap.
I do not need that level of assurance.
I don't think you bring us here just to kill us.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. Come with me, and hopefully we'll run into your friend. If not, we'll wait for him. But best to get somewhere safe. And she pushes to her feet and brushes herself off. And Eleanor, you realise, is a very short woman. Compared to Beatrix, who I think I described as being a bit more taller and thinner, Beatrix is very much shorter, barely 5 feet. It's kind of rude, not rude, kind of a ruddy-looking face, if that makes sense. Weathered face, I suppose, of someone who's always outside. Weathered hands. Seemed a bit blue at the tips from circulation, but not the redness that you've seen in others. Dressed very, very plainly. Just simple brown hair, brown eyes. She has very much that appearance of someone your eyes would just skim over on a crowd. You know, just hair in like a messy bun. Simple clothes. There's nothing kind of standoutish about her at all, apart from a slight gleam of intelligence to her eyes. Just like constant awareness and caution. But she nevertheless kind of gestures for you to follow. And Arvyn, you would come in at this point seeing the 3 others plus Beowulf following after who you recognise as Eleanor.
Are you guys going out like out the back, or are you coming like towards me?
Towards you.
Okay.
Going out the front.
Huh. Okay, I'm just gonna wait there if everybody's coming towards me. Save me the trip.
Yeah, why not?
Well, good to see you all here then. I'm Eleanor Lovitch, and she gives a slight curtsy to you, Arvyn.
Arvyn Anciel, at your service.
A pleasure to meet you. As I mentioned to your fellows, there's much to talk about, but elsewhere. Follow me, please. And leads on. She leads you out of the lower quarter entirely, taking you east to where you start to see the waters of the Styes are dark and murky anyway. As you lead you further eastward, though, they turn thick with mud, to the point that it's more mud than water. And a very odd scent starts to permeate the air. It's almost magic in nature, but sulfuric, also a smell of like rot and a tang of something, and to the point you can even taste it on your tongue. It's a very unnatural scent, essentially.
Ugh.
As she leads you hurriedly through back corridors and such, and occasionally she pauses and will check and listen, and then shake her head and gesture you to go completely off a different direction. And it's just a constant maze of ways, to the point where, unless Dirk goes up onto the roofs, you feel completely lost. Until eventually the buildings would begin to lessen from their stacked nature to a bit more a single-storied, built on a bit more solid foundation, essentially. As you step past into this area where the buildings seem a bit more of stone and brick rather than wood, she looks back at you all and welcome to the Alchemist's Quarter. My advice, keep your eyes down, don't speak to anyone, and follow me. You never know what someone might take as acquiescence to an experiment of some sort. You can see, as you head deeper in, stone chimneys that pump out what seems to be either smoke, in some cases, or just this odd fumes with many different colours in other cases. You pass by the ruins of what might have been once grand libraries or universities or temples, even, from their structures. And the air becomes clogged with that scent and a smog. Basically, imagine like Industrial Revolution London. It's that type of atmosphere. The streets, however, are pretty empty still, as she nevertheless leads you along to a building that is sat on the quote-unquote waterfront. She hurries up and gives a slight knock, wherein you hear the sound of rummaging coming from behind, and then a solid click, almost as a shutter is pulled back. She pulls back at the hood she's wearing, so whoever is looking out can see, before pulling the hood back up as another click rings out, and then the sound of 5 different locks disengaging, before the door is cracked open. Quick now, in! You hear from like a hurried voice as she slips in through the crack. The rest of you follow?
Yeah, I'll slip through.
Okay. Let me find something. Configure. Right. And we move to Refn's home. Day. I should have triggered the change. Oh, yeah. So it should have changed on the Foundry. If not, you can click over to Refn's home day. It should be in the top now. If not, refresh.
I refreshed.
Okay. Hopefully you should have found stuff then. And
Yep.
put down tokens for yourself. So you enter Why'd that change? Give me a second. Oh, that's why I didn't update the token. There we are. And I forgot to do Eleanor's token. I'll do that some other time. But you enter into a very dim building.
There we go.
You're into a room where there's a large table with a small number of chairs set up on it. Off to your right, there's a small fireplace. Another chair set before it. And off to your left, there's almost like a series of cupboards where wines and candles are sat, along with flasks and flagons. To your immediate right, there is a door. And to your northeast, there are a set of 2 doors. To the northwest, there is a single door. Before you, you see a human male, slightly balding, covered his hair is kind of pulled back and swept to one side, thin though it may be. There's pince-nez glasses perched on his nose, and he's dressed in a ratted cloak with tunic and trousers, essentially. And he waves you in, and as soon as you all enter, slams the door shut, then scurries over to near the table. You watch him lean down and mess with what seems like an oil lamp. Only as it ignites, it's not a normal light it gives off, but instead like a white glow. He stares at the glow for a bit and... Oh, good, you were not followed. Good. Before turning it off and turns back to you all. Before focusing on Eleanor. You see a wide grin on his face as... Eleanor, good. You are not harmed. That is good to see, my dear. And he clasps her hand in his, and... Why don't you go into the back room, I'll talk business, and it is not right for you to speak of the noble dead, and of your noble brother like this. Go rest. And he hurries her through, and you watch as she goes through one of the rooms, and you see a glimpse of what seems to be well, from your angle you wouldn't quite see it, but she goes back through one of the doors and closes it with after a quiet murmur with the individual who turns to face you all now. A pleasure to meet you all. My name is Reflum. You are the ones that Eleanor sent for, I assume?
Yes.
Good. Please, take a seat. He hurries over to one of the side cabinets and starts pulling out like mugs and... would you like anything to drink, my friends?
Tea. 2 sugars, 1 honey.
Tea. I shall get tea. A little bit. And you want something more simple? Mead or the like. Water, even.
I do not drink alcohol. Tea will be fine.
Mead would be good for me.
He pulls out like a bottle from one of the cupboards. The rest of you?
Mead would be fine, thank you.
Mead?
Mead.
Okay, and he brings a bottle and 3 flagons over to the table and sets them down and gestures for you all to take a seat as you hear him hurry out the door to the right, bottom right, through which you can probably see a kitchen if you glimpse. And he comes back soon after with a tea set, which he sets down before you, Rasma. And then he takes he stands at the end of the table essentially. And, please sit. I will not be known as a bad host. Take a seat.
I'll grab my teacup and sit down.
Okay. Introductions, right? Introductions. Sorry, I am bad at this speaking thing. My name is, Reflum. It is a pleasure to meet you all. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is when the sexual niceties where you introduce yourselves. Am I wrong?
That is true. I am Rasma to Erdah, head of the High Lunas Order. And I'll point over to Dirk.
I'm Dirk.
Yeah, also.
Microphone breaker.
He'll look to the other 2.
I am Sidrius,
It is
inventor, adventurer, and always accompanied by Beowulf, as Beowulf will kind of walk over to him and just kind of like set his, I'm imagining like 80-pound head just in the lap of the guy.
Well, Refham stood at the table while he's gestured to sit, but if Beowulf approaches, nevertheless, he kind of, his face lights up from the nervous expression he's been wearing the whole time, and kneels down in front of a Beowulf, and you see him reach up and kind of brush something against his glasses, and you see a slight flare of arcane magic, and he kind of just tilts his head, looking Beowulf over. Huh. Fascinating, totally fascinating. How did you maintain the synaptic structure of the false personality? I can see it's fantastic rune work, my friend. Magnificent, almost as point of sentience, almost. Primal though it may be, but nevertheless impressive. Simple responses, but nevertheless a kind of learning mechanism to them. To learn even when the direct command is not triggered, even a similar one will suffice. That is magnificent, my friend. Magnificent. The forge work, and he's just kind of rambling to himself as he's just looking at Beowulf over, just completely almost enthralled in this moment.
Sid will have a very proud look on his face. He likes the respect.
Yeah. So. Unless anyone pipes up, by the way, he keeps going on for the next 5 minutes, just analysing Beowulf.
At some point during his rant of enjoyment, Rasma is going to break it. Anyhow.
Yes, of course. My apologies. Social license. I forgot. Sorry. This is magnificent, my friend. And he pushes himself to a standing and brushes himself down slightly. But you are right, and I do apologize, my friends. We have conversations regarding the noble dead, not the creation of such a creature. My Arvyn friend, I did not get your name. Did I? No. Yes, no.
My apologies, Arvyn. Just
okay, good. I was hoping that I had not asked and forgotten.
Sure.
Good.
No.
My manners are this. Good. And he kind of starts wringing his hands slightly. His eyes go distant for a moment, like 1,000 yards stare, before snapping back into focus. Right. First, the mead is for yours to drink, and he gestures to the bottle set on the table for you all. I hope you enjoyed my selection of teas, my lizard folk friend. And now we have business to discuss. My name, as I said, is Refham. I suppose you could say I'm a patron of Jarm and Eleanor. I took them under my protection, wing, counsel. I don't know what word to use. I looked after them for some time, and when Jarm was found guilty of his sins, well, I encouraged Eleanor to reach out to her family to see if help can be arrived, and God's bless, here you are. I am unsure of Jarm's guilt. No, that is not the right word. I am certain of his innocence. I would swear it before the gods, any god you chose. He's not guilty. Jarm was... He was troubled. But he was not a killer. He fought and he drank and he argued, but he did not kill. He would not kill. But they declared him guilty nonetheless. I offered, there was a corpse that he was found with. I offered to use raised dead. It is my repertoire to do so. I offered to bring the body back, to let the soul speak of its killer. And they refused me. They have the body still, but they refused me. That got me thinking. I believe that Jarm is innocent. And that there are others of guilt in the city. I don't know how much you know, but there was another killing. The day after Jarm hung. After his body was interred, before I could cast Speak with Dead on him also. There was another killing. The exact same. Oh, I heard the rumors. It was a copycat. A poppycock. If you know what to look for, it's the same. I brought my boys to Jute, and she's a good woman. One of the stout, righteous few in this city who have not given themselves to despair. But even she would not investigate. There is a conspiracy here, I am sure. And so, we must turn to those outside of the city. Yourselves. I would beseech you, please, for Eleanor, if nothing else, to find the truth of the matter here. Whatever questions you have, I will answer. Whatever aid I can give, I will give. I fear I cannot stay in the city for long. I am seeking to depart by this evening. I have ruffled the nest, if you will, in seeking to prove innocence for Jarm, and I fear that myself and Eleanor might not be long if we do not leave. But if there is aid I can give you in the meantime, you need but ask, and give it I shall. If you have questions, I will answer. If I can give you anything from my stores, I shall give. That I beseech you, help me.
I must say that I certainly think this is a conspiracy. If you had the ability to raise the dead, then the only thing I can think of.
I could speak with
Oh, sorry, speak with the dead. Yes.
The spirits, they do not abandon the physical realm so quickly. If you know what you're doing, you can capture them for a moment, give a semblance of life back to them, breathe in a breath of life for just a moment, and with that breath they can speak. And I was not allowed to do so. I have done so in the past for crimes, but this time they did not permit it.
Yes, if they refused, when this could potentially show exactly who the killer was, then this suggests that they know who did it and they want to cover. Yes. Out of character here. This was Captain Samson that
Constable. He said he spoke to Constable Jute.
Oh, Constable Jute. Oh, okay. I wrote down Constable Jute, but I was reading the notes incorrectly. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Captain Samson was on the next line.
Yeah,
Anyways.
no worries.
Okay. So, back in character. So, I have a feeling that Constable Jute knows exactly what we want to know. And he's going to look over to the party in a...
I do not think that to be the case, my friend. Smart and genius you are with discretion, but Jute she is an upstanding figure in this community. One of the few I would put my trust in.
But why would they refuse to let you speak with the dead?
I do not think it's because of her own initiative. This is why I think there is a conspiracy. Jute, I've worked with Jute before. My god's light shines upon Jute. But in this case, she would not permit it. I swear, in her eyes I saw guilt. I saw shame. Not of a crime committed, but of letting something to happen. She knows something, yes. But I do not think she did something.
Oh, yes. That's what I'm suggesting, is that we should talk to her and...
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think her the criminal in this. She's a good woman, but if there are lives threatened, she would sacrifice one already dead to keep many other more alive.
How many days ago did you find the body with John?
Jarm. J-R-M-E. The body was found and discovered just over a week ago. Jarm was found right next to it. His clothes were bloody. He had a knife in his hand that matched the wounds. I will not deny that it looks It looks condemning, but he did not kill. He would not.
And you believe the body that was found with him is still at the mortuary?
I know it is. I was called there recently to give my expertise on the matter. And saw the body.
What kind
Charles was burnt and gone, but the victim was there.
What kind of resistance could we expect at a mortuary?
Should it be a regular mortuary? I would say little at all. But Sidrius runs the mortuary. She is one of the councillors of this city. Like her fellows, she has done the unjust thing and abandoned her post in recent times. Calls the main now over the mortuary and her manor. Sticks to only those two locations. She is not strong and powerful, but she is stronger than I, and she has resources to call upon. Should you approach peacefully, you may well get audience. I cannot say certain. I would give my word and letter of introduction. That might be enough. I don't know for certain.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think we're gonna need you to come with us. You have this regret of not.
I dare not. I dare not. The last time I stepped out, I was accosted.
I mean,
if not for help from those who I had healed in the past, I would be dead already. I have rocked the boat too much. I have poked where I should not have poked. I have tried to find what is being hidden, and they would see me dead. Here, I am safe. Here in my home where my defenses are, I am safe. As soon as I leave, that may not be the case anymore. I seek when I next leave here to be my escape. I will escape out into the marshes. I have an old friend, a druid, who owes me a favor. They can give me shelter, give Eleanor shelter, keep us safe. But until then, I dare not leave. I went out among the masses. Those I had healed, some I helped to birth. I had treated them for the rots and the sickness in the water, and of the diseases carried by the rodents. I treated them, I saved them. And yet, when they fell upon me, those thugs, they all crowded round and laughed at my plight. The sickness of the Styes is no longer of a physical ailment, it is spiritual. There's a rot in this city, a rot born more than just of disease. It has afflicted the minds and souls of my people. Those who were once proud, stubborn but proud, who had a sense of community, now they turn on one another, like carrion fighting over scraps. Forgive me. I did not mean to get so worked up. It is not polite.
Happens to the best of us.
You see him kind of take a deep breath and takes off the pince-nez glasses and rubs at his eyes slightly. I have not been sleeping well. There are dark dreams, portents in my mind. What I cannot say. I have never been gifted with the gift of prophecy. I can feel when something is coming, but I can never remember what I see. There is something here dark and dangerous, and it seeks me dead now because I seek to pry and unravel what it has created. Jean was their mistake. They targeted him, thinking he had no support. But he has me. He has Lycian, he has Beatrix and Eleanor. And we do not see him guilty. There is something here conniving and powerful. Give me again. He turns and heads over towards the fireplace and collapses into the seat before it, rubbing at his forehead, just almost collapsing in on himself. You hear a slight sound to the north, as in the other room. Eleanor, in this moment of silence, can be heard just kind of shuffling about. Presumably packing from his words. I speak with the noble dead in my portents, in my castings of the stones and of the bones of my spellcasting alike. I speak with the noble dead. Only those that have died recently are not noble. They are lost to something, claimed by something that has burrowed its roots into this city. I beseech you to help me as outsiders. I am sure you've seen the scorn directed upon you for that simple fact. We the Styes do not like those who'd come out from outside our city. You do not know our ways. Many of you looked upon us as barbarous, as fools for staying. But in this case, I must ask you as outsiders to help those immune to whatever rot has taken the city, and left only few of noble spirit left. Help me, please.
The cause is noble, and we are here as a favor for a friend. We are listening.
Thank you. I cannot tell you more than what I already have, I'm afraid. Only of what happened with Jarm. Oh, he was kept at the Asylum. It is near the mortuary, I believe. I do not like going that way. It is a place of madness, of spirits, saddened deeply. But it is near there. It is in the upper quarter, near the mortuary. If you have a map, I can show you. Other than the fact he was kept there, I can tell you no more. What I can recommend is you speak to Jute. Get her trust. Convince her you're here to help, and she might help you also. She can show you where the bodies were found. She can tell you what's happened with Jarm as well, if anything did happen after his arrest. And since you spoke mention of it, I can write a little introduction to the mortuary, so you can investigate the bodies there.
That would be very valuable.
Yeah. I can help otherwise. Yes, come. He pushes himself to his feet and gestures for you to follow, heading first towards the southern door. Opening it, he shows that it is indeed a kitchen and pantry. You can see pantry rather. You can see like runic inscriptions on the shelves where stuff that would normally go out of date and spoiled seems fresh even now. Without a word, he turns and strides to the northern door. If you're following, of course, he opens it to show you that it's a room with 6 beds within, one of which you can see is being remade now by Eleanor as she packs up her stuff. From there, he basically leads you on a tour of the building, showing you his workshop and his library and study, as well as where crates of storage has been kept, before leading you back out to the main room. It is not much, but this is my home. A home I've been forced to leave. But perhaps it can still be of help. I can let you stay here. There's food, security, comfortable beds, and clean water. That might be of help to you. It is the last way of help I can be, I'm afraid.
That's all we need.
Clean water.
Yes, clean water. That which does not carry disease.
Well, we do have someone who can fix that.
All the same, I have a store of water that has already been cleaned through my rituals alone. Perhaps they will be of help. Oh, I have some potions left over. You can check on my shelves later. Some are labelled, some are not, I'm afraid. But you're welcome to them, if you should wish.
Yeah.
We will make sure.
Go ahead.
We will make sure to do our best for you and for Jarm. We also believe in his innocence.
He reaches up and claps a necklace, a holy symbol most likely from his words, and gives a slight bow to you all. Thank you for this. Thank you. Be careful of the shadows of this city. It hides much.
What's
Many
this
a dark
holy
need.
symbol?
Make me a religion check.
$19.
19. Let me double check. I don't have that to hand. I believe. Sorry, give me a second. Okay, it is the symbol of. I just had it. I just found it in my notes, and then I was going to say the name. I lose it. Of a Lathander.
Lathander?
Lathander, yeah.
All right.
The Morning Lord.
He loves light too. Maybe not moonlight, but light. That's interesting.
Rephram doesn't look like he's sick in any kind of way. He doesn't have
No, this is probably the first person you've seen who looks healthy. Or fully healthy. You've seen those without sickness on them, but have looked like worn down. Rephram seems actually somewhat healthy.
It's properly cloistered, that's why. At least I think.
Like, I'm so distrusting. I'm like, I don't know, man.
Give me an insight. Give me an insight if you want.
Yeah, just like I don't know, man. I'm like hella sketchy about like everybody.
No. Go ahead, make me an insight check.
All right, straight up. I'll take it. 17.
He seems trustworthy, a bit scatterbrained at times, and someone who's falling into emotion from despair every now and then. But everything he says, he's fully believed he's speaking truthfully.
And
he's not tried to deceive you in any way.
And he's a cleric of Lathander? Is that a leap to put those pieces together? At least a follower?
Know if cleric,
at least a follower?
Class of cleric, but at least a follower.
Okay.
And he has spoken of being able to cast some spells, so maybe not a full cleric, but
okay,
a follower of Lathander with some power from it, from the Morning Lord.
I was like, if we really get into this, Lathander's not going to help out like sketchy people. It's not their bag. Yeah,
it's not like an Orcus amulet or anything.
Yeah, or the Wand of Orcus. I don't know. Just, God, I'm so distrusting. I'm just like, I don't know, man. This guy seems sketchy.
Well, we can look into that as well.
I feel like he's the least sketchy person that we've met since we've got here. But I mean, still.
That's true.
But he is going to let us use his house.
Yeah, but he's leaving.
Is this even your house? Show us the deed.
So what if he's leaving?
Say that in character? I mean, you could ask it if you want.
Rephram is Jarn's brother-in-law. Is that?
Rephram he's basically said he took patronage of Jarm and Eleanor after Beatrix left with Lycian. So Lycian is Jarm's brother-in-law, so the merchant friend of yours.
Okay.
Rephram is basically an elderly priest, alchemist of some sort, maybe, who basically then took almost like a fatherly role to the two siblings that remained. So he watched over them.
Rephram, I understand your care for the siblings upon Beatrice's departure. Is it possible that that clouds your judgment about Jarn's potential guilt or innocence? What do you have? Do you have any proof beyond, that familiar, benefit of the doubt?
I hear your words, and I recognize the truth in them. I have no proof to offer you, but I can say with certainty it was not in Jarn's nature to kill. He could fight, he could brawl, he could drink, perhaps a bit too much at times. But kill, it was not in his nature. He spoke to me recently of dreams, of nightmares afflicting him. But even in that moment, I saw not the man he'd become, but that terrified young boy. These dreams brought that back to the surface, I think. He could not have done this. I swear it. On the Thunder himself, on the Morning Lord's name, he could not have done this. He is innocent. I know that in my bones. He's one of the noble dead.
Any enemies? Any outstanding debts?
Myself or Jarn?
Jarn.
A few years back, he was injured. It took time. It was on an expedition, fishing expedition. It took time for them to return here for me to treat his wounds. During that time, he was kept drunk to lessen the pain as best as possible. He did not manage to escape the grasp of drink after that. There were times where he recovered and I helped him as best I could. But there were also times where he'd come to me confessing he'd blacked out the night before and knew nothing. But in that he did fall into gambling. There are those that he did owe debts to.
So it's conceivable that someone might have pulled off something like this.
It's not just conceivable, it is the fact. I know that to be fact. Jarn did not do this. I mean, in the Morning Lord's name, when he blacked out, I have heard those whisper. He blacked out. He had those moments where he would not know. But he blacked out because he was drunk. As much as I did not like that fact, he gave to his drink. And thus in those moments he would be blacked out. He would not have the position to slice over on a body. That medical exaltation that I saw on those corpses. A drunken hand could not do that.
The odds of such precision cuts delivered by a drunk are very, very low.
I cannot describe how exquisite the work was done. It was with a surgeon's scalpel. Essentially, the marks were precise. The organs were removed in a way that showed familiarity with the body. I admit I have that familiarity from my work and from my aid with the mortuary. But through that I know this is not a understanding that the average person can get from any book or tome that might have been taken from my library. Whoever did this had training, knowledge, and understanding. Jarn was a fisherman. Where would he learn how to dissect a body?
Nowhere.
It was not him.
Who would have these skills?
Myself, many of the alchemists here, any who work in the mortuary, those nobles, or those that remain of the noble class that we once had, who might have taken interest in the body. There were many who could. There are few elves left in this city, mainly signified by their half-elven kin now. But those that do remain are old, knowledgeable. They could have taken apprentices. But if they did, it would be those, as I say, of the noble caste that remain. They demand high price for any aid we request of them. sequestering themselves in the former noble quarters. And to get there is a arduous journey. The swamp and marsh has claimed much of that path. Jean could not have took tutelage from them without me knowing. If you have your doubts still,
not the Styes.
If you have your doubts still, maintain those doubts by all means. Use them and try and prove me wrong. Find evidence of Jorm's guilt, because in that you will find his innocence. I care not if you trust me on what I say of him. All that matters to me is you investigate. Because I know if you seek him to be guilty or seek him to innocent, as long as you do not seek to fit evidence to that fact, you will uncover the truth of it. Please.
Well, yeah, we'll need a little bit more info, so we need to talk to Jute.
I understand that, and I agree with that. Does one of you have a map?
Yeah, we have a map.
Yeah, you were given a map of.
Oh, okay.
If you hand it over, he grabs an ink pen essentially, and scribbles so that now you have the annotation as seen on the Foundry map. So now you have the locations of the asylum, the mortuary. He tells you of the homes of the council members as best he knows. He makes mention of Dory, one of the council members. He has no idea where his home is in recent times. A couple of decades ago, it sank into the waters, and he has no idea where Dory made his home after the fact. But by and large, you have now what is on the Foundry.
Awesome.
As you say, speak to Jute. You can find her to barracks. She gave up her home a while ago to those that needed it. She stays now in the garrison when she's not on patrol, when not working also. Sidrius, he spends most of his day in the mortuary. I can write that letter. And he turns and grabs stationery and does write out a letter of introduction for you and passes it to whoever takes it. That can get you to look at the body. If he's not there, you can speak to you can meet to Metis Manor. And he will highlight Sidrius Manor.
I'll take the note.
Okay. So he'll pass that over happily to you. There were two I would advise avoiding as best you can of the councillors. Thornwell and Rashian. Their homes are here, and again he'll mark it on the map. Thornwell is... There are rumours of her. Rumours that she has dealings with fiends, with the realms of hell. How accurate that is, and how much is rumour and discussion, I do not know. I mean, damn it all, there's rumours of were creatures and undead at the mortuary, so the people do speak of rumours. But Thornwell, in all I have known of her, she has intent always. She does not speak with you without reason. That reason is often for her own benefit. Rashlin, as I say, is one of the remaining elves in the city. He's one of the few who do not sequester themselves out into the marshes, or where the marsh breaks for the noble quarter, which is not on this map, by the way. You need a bigger map. It is a couple of days' journey out. They've removed themselves from the squalor that we became. This is why you will not find much love for the elves, I will confess to you. They, and I mean no insult to you, my elven friend.
None.
But those that were here saw our city as squalor, and so removed themselves from those lesser than them. I know that they did not reflect on your kind as a whole, but they have given a bad reputation, I'm afraid. Westland, though, as I say, is one of the few to remain, and he is conniving. Similar to Thornwell, he seeks his own benefit.
Sounds like the elves made a good choice.
You can hold that opinion, my friend, but keep it between sealed lips, or you'll find more than a dagger seeking your heart. Do not speak ill of the Styes. It is rotten and decayed and depressing now, I admit. But it is still my home and the home of many others. I remember the might of this city. I was but a youth when it began to fall to the sea, but I still remember we were mighty once, and that pride has not yet gone. You can hold your opinion on this place as much as you like, but keep it to yourself.
One moment, I could get Dirk to hold his opinions to himself.
Say that again, Sansa.
I said if only I could get Dirk to hold his opinions to himself.
Be careful who hear it then, would my advice. I ask again though, will you help me?
We
I
will.
will give you...
Yes.
We will help you. We will stay here, and we will use what you have given us.
You are kind. My food, the beds, my workshop, my library, all of it is open to you. Whatever may aid you in your investigation. Thank you, all of you. And he's reached up to clasp at this amulet once more. As he does so, you hear the door to the bedroom open, and Eleanor emerges, Pax at her side. Indeed. Thank you. Prove the innocence of my brother, I beg of you all. I would wish his soul to rest easy in the afterlife, and not to be thought of as the lantern ghost killer. Such sins are not your arms to commit. He fell to vice in his later years, I admit. But he was not a sinner to such a degree. Thank you, all of you. Whatever you may find, I know it will prove his innocence. And you can see almost a hopeful grin on Eleanor's weathered face. And on that, we will bring this session of What Lurks Below to a close.
All right. I don't like any of these people. I like this town. Like, I wish I'd played the Flame Druid, because I'd be like, let's just burn this shit down and go.
Let's be constantly looking to burn it all down.
Whatever the Ancients Paladin equivalent of burn this place down is, like, really where I'm at right now. Like everything in this place sucks. Like, we just need to start over. Like, damn my hatred of entropy. Let's just get this over with. All right. My frustrations aside, from my own immersion, that's it's neither here nor there. So it's another session. As always, big shout out to Sam for this. I'm having the time of my life. I hope you guys are too. We've seen everybody play amazing characters, and in one case be an absolutely amazing dungeon master. Behind them are even better people. We give everybody a little chance to say something about themselves on their way out. Let us start with... All right, we're going to do like an informal polling here as we go. Landon, you think Jarn did this?
I don't think he did it.
Okay.
I feel like the refusal to allow a speak with the dead spell is a huge red flag. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to tell. But that, to me, is the big thing.
Okay. And then tell us about our friend Landon.
Landon, I am married and I have two big Saint Bernards. I chose Beowulf as my sort of in-game pet for this because he just had surgery on his leg last week. He has a metal plate in his leg now.
That's wild.
Unfortunately. But during the day, I work as a software developer. Unfortunately, I had like a 12-hour day today, so at this point, I'm like definitely ready for bed.
I hear you, buddy.
But I had a lot of fun. It just, it's been a tough day. I always enjoy playing Dungeons & Dragons with these guys. I look forward to it every week. So hopefully this time next year, I'm still playing with you guys.
That's the plan, buddy. Awesome. Tenta, you've already given your opinions. You think Jarn's innocent, yeah?
Yep. Yes,
Okay.
I do.
All right. Like I said, I'm just curious. I don't want to be like the cynic here. Of course, if I end up being right, you guys are gonna hate me. So
It's okay.
2 votes for innocent, and then tell us about our boy Tenta.
I'm Tenta. I'm in the dark today because it just felt fun and it's fucking hot in Oklahoma. So I just needed to be as cool as possible tonight. And I'm 39. I'm married. I've got Dr. Julian. I've got Golden Cot. Those are my 2 cats. And I love being a part of this group with you guys. And yeah, it's just good old fucking good time. And I'm glad to be a part of it.
Awesome. Glad to have you, buddy. Last but not least, Nick, you think you did it?
I'm on the fence.
Okay.
I think that he's capable of doing it, being like a blackout drunk and owing people more money than he could probably pay them. Could have him have done a dirty deed and then he got caught for it. But also surgical precision, probably not. And, fuck the nobility. So it was probably one of them, but I'm on the fence with Jarn right now.
Especially if it's the Jack the Ripper analogy. What it was supposed to be one of the royals, right? That's one of the. I think it's been disproven, but that was like one of the big rumors.
That was one of the rumors. Yes, I believe it's either one of the royals themselves or someone closely tied who had medical training was rumored to be. It was disproven, but it was for a while. That was one of the rumors.
Yeah,
I think it was the Queen's physician.
Yeah, it might have been one of the physicians actually. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember the exact rumor, but yeah, that was
Well,
one.
that's what it was in From Hell.
Oh, is that the? That's the. No, wait. Is that the Johnny Depp one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Bilbo Baggins is in it.
Oh, I saw that one.
Remember.
Awesome. And then Nick, and tell us about Nick.
My name's Nick. I'm a chef in Northern California. I'm married. I've got a little pug dog who is basically my son and 2 cats that just cover me in hair all the time. And my wife made cheesesteaks for dinner, so I'm very excited to go eat that.
Awesome. Glad to have you, buddy. Certainly, last but not least, once again, another round of applause for our amazing Dungeon Master. That was awesome. I'm totally invested. If this is what you guys feel like every week, this is rad. Sam, thank you for coming in and doing this for us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll get out of here.
I'm not going to ask me if I think John's guilty or not. I suppose I couldn't say either way.
But if you were going to say, which one
if
would
I
you
was
say?
going to say,
If I
I
had
would say that you will have to find out.
Okay.
Anyway.
Wait.
Yes, so I'm Sam or Caldrin. Like the others, I don't really have a job. I am just a student still, so waiting for university to start up next week at this point. Obviously, you can probably tell from the accent I am British, so it's right now, it's almost 4 a.m, so I am very tired. I'm looking forward to getting some sleep. But you can probably see where some of the madness of this game comes from with me studying psychology, so I had to read up on all that stuff constantly, so might as well put it to some practical use.
Will be a term paper. Got it.
Agreed.
Pretty much.
All right. So this is our amazing cast. I'm so lucky to have them here on Tuesday nights. So I am going to just tell you about myself by saying I am very thankful to have such great players and such great people willing to come in and Dungeon Master for us. It's the greatest thing in the world. So that's going to do it for us tonight on Tuesday nights. No show, no Dynasty of Dragons tomorrow. I unfortunately have a wedding to cater. Surprise, surprise. But we'll be back on Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern time for episode 2 of our new mini-series, Legacy of Blood. Thank you to everybody who watched tonight. Thank you to everybody who was here on the show with me. That's going to do it. Always remember, I love Dungeons & Dragons and the people who play it, and we will see you Friday night for Legacy of Blood. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.